How is everyone doing? We are here for the first episode of Talking Ball with Steveospeak. We will be getting into a draft shortly. And, just bear with me with any technical issues. It's my first time running the stream on my own. But looking forward to talking best ball, particularly SuperFlex. But, of course, we can talk about anything here. And, hit the like, hit sub if you're not already sub, but we are going to be entering a SuperFlex draft in a couple minutes. There's and we can talk anything, not just SuperFlex. I know a lot's been going on in the underdog streets lately and in best ball. So yeah, comment and chat with any questions. We'll hit up those. And we will get started. Mike, good to see you. My wonderful sister and usual co-host partner for Sibling Showdown. Now I'm in charge. I'm in control. So I know she hates that, but we will get going and enter an sorry. How's it going? How's it going, DJ Quill? We are going to enter a Puppy SuperFlex 20 seconds. For our first one, and we will be entering. I'm going to enter from my phone to make sure that no location errors. Hopefully, that would be par for the course for my first time doing it. And we will be going live in, if I can get to it, on Underdog Puppy SuperFlex 20-second, entering in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. Let's see what we got here. 6 more to start. So anyone who wants to get in can get in. We will see. You see my active, all my slow drafts. I know I'm, not the norm for people, but all right. We are waiting on one. And let's catch up on some comments while we are going. How's it going, Ben? James, good to see you guys. Mike, we will work on the background. Hames, always good to see you. Aaron, see you as well. Good seeing you guys. Hames, thank you so much. Tim, good to see you too. And as Hames knows, I'm of course going to get one of the top 4 picks with my initial draft. This happens mostly on Hames streams when we're doing SuperFlex, but for me, top of the board. I honestly go 1 through 5 Burrow. I really haven't mixed that up at all, but definitely 1 through 4, the elite like quarterbacks with rushing upside. I'm taking them every time. There's no reason for me not to take them. It's just easy click for me every single time. I will mix up the order sometimes. But yeah, I think these 4, and let's see, we have King QC in here. We got FK Cooler. So we got some good sharp people in here as well. Josh Allen goes 101. No surprise there. Let's see what goes to me. It'll be Jaden Daniels, not just the homer pick. I do think Daniels, we are going to just see massive upside here. And DJ Quill, you are in here, and you taking Burrow, yeah. And it is definitely, some people knock Burrow, and there's the debate to push him back to the 60s, 70s type thing, to pair with Chase and Higgins there. But the reality is, in Burrow's 3 healthy years, 2021, 2022, and 2024, he's never finished as worse than top 10 quarterback. In 21, he was coming off the ACL. 22 and 24, he finishes 3 and 4. So, I think I just don't see any reason we should really say Burrow doesn't have top 5 upside. This is a good question here. Who's this year's veteran windups that wideout that puts up numbers like Thielen last year? Well, the easy answer would be Thielen, of course. I think another one. I see Tim answering his own question a couple times. Hopkins, Hollywood, Brown. I think Hollywood's actually a very fair guess. Mahomes, we know his passing attempts down slightly from his high, but still extremely up there. And his touchdowns regressed these past 2 years, but it's just 2 years ago, his first year without Tyreek Hill, when granted Travis Kelce was in the prime of his career, but his best receiver that year was Juju Smith-Schuster, and he threw 41 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. Holmes can easily get back there. Hollywood can eat, Rice can eat, Worthy can eat, all these guys can eat, especially as Kelce kind of really does start to regress some. Crossface, good to see you too. How's it going? Yeah, just drafting. This is my first time running the ship live, so this will be interesting to see, trying to keep up with chat and talk ball. Definitely like it says, like, let's talk ball. Any questions, any comments, any particular players you want to talk about? A-Rod, thank you very much. No, I try, and that's what I like about this community. I like about fantasy in general. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, not just a more unique contest like SuperFlex, but even the regular contests. We get in all these debates all the time about this player, that player, the big Rashid Rice debate of early June. At the end of the day, likely no one player, no one take is going to be so right or so wrong. And that is just something to keep in mind. Let's see, up on the clock here, I'm going to go, my typical bringing up a quarterback for the second pick. I love Genty. The receivers there are fine, but Jaden, Dak, not just for the week 17 correlation, but I just think we have the upside of 2 top 5 quarterbacks. We saw when Dak has been healthy, going back to 2020, at the time when he got injured in 2020, he was like QB3. For points per game for 2023, he was like top 6. And, that was the year he got injured early on in that Tampa game. And then 2024, he was top 5. So, I mean, we just know in total points, he led the league in touchdowns. So, we just know the upside that he brings to the table. I'm going to mix it up here and go a chain. I do like getting an early elite running back in SuperFlex. I talked about it in an article I just released on the Fanspeak Substack. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can see in the ticker here, year-long payment, $34.99, entire year. You get our rankings, you get articles. We'll be doing sub-only shows, all sorts of things. Just something we're going to build. But I just wrote an article looking at my SuperFlex teams last year. I did 85 teams total in the 4 different contests I believe they released, and I advanced 29 of those 85. So 34% of those 29, 12 of them I started 3 quarterbacks in a row. And about 20, I believe, had 3 quarterbacks in the first 4 rounds. So I do really believe in getting good quality starters early and often in SuperFlex, and I think that is the best way to win. Oh, you cannot see the board. I am sorry. Thank you for the comment. I'm catching up now. Our guy Tyler. Haven't shared the screen. Oh, shit. Give me a second. This is very new to me. There we go. Sorry about that. I will. There we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. I appreciate somebody saying that. And yes, catching up on all these. I like Tim mentioning the Hollywood when he was with the Ravens. Him and Lamar were great, though. The year Lamar got injured, Hollywood was top 10 receiver at that time. And then Huntley took over and he finished like wide receiver 18th or something like that. He really fell in the rankings because of Lamar's injury. Let's see. Best Ball and Call. Good to see you. Thank you guys for some of the comments. Thielen, top 10 wide receiver. Yeah, he could be. Look, he was last 2 years, he was top 25, top 31 in points per game. And that was with a bad Carolina offense. If Bryce Young and Canales make a move this year, even with T-Mac, I still believe he can be very, very good. To answer Aaron Sandy's question, no, I definitely don't have any BBMs where she is my wide receiver 3. I don't believe so. Oh, geez. And we are going to actually double tap running back here with Jonathan Taylor. I realized that was on the clock. That is the issue with streaming. I probably would have typically taken the quarterback there first and gotten a running back or receiver coming back. See, Crossface, thoughts on Aaron Jones? Yes, I generally like the couple round discount on Mason. I think the touchdown upside is there. The Vikings could low-key have maybe the best offensive line in the league this year. They're getting Darisol, their left tackle, back. They have good right tackle in Brian O'Neill, and then they totally revamped the interior of their offensive line with their first-round pick and 2 guys they brought over from the Colts. So very interesting there. I am going to go Darnold here. Get my 3rd starting quarterback, and I do believe Darnold is a starter. But I like this start of the build here. 3 starting quarterbacks, 2 elite running backs. I mean, these are 2 second-round picks. And this is one of the things when we talk about yes, who aims? It's more, these aren't technical issues. These are my issues. But yeah, I did not take much Rice, before his price really went up. I'm taking him some now, and also I'm only at 25 BBMs. I don't even know if I'm going to max. I just like so many of the other contests so much better overall. But yeah, I mean, getting Rice early was good. Yes, no, it's all good. We all have our issues, and I'm just hoping I'll get better and better at this. And yeah, Meg answering back. But no, this is why I talk about taking 3 quarterbacks early. Took 3 in the first 5 rounds, but I had an early pick and could do that, and I still get a chain and Jonathan Taylor. I mean, these are in a BBM. These are 2 top 20 guys. So I'm getting 2 early to mid second rounders. Plus, I'm locking up the 2 most important positions, in SuperFlex, and that's your quarterback and your SuperFlex. Those are going to be the highest scoring positions every single time. If they're not your highest scoring positions, you're not going to be advancing and winning in SuperFlex. Are there other ways to get 3 starting quarterbacks? Absolutely. But I'm getting, again, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott. These are 2 potentially top 5 guys. Sam Darnold, he was a top 10 guy last year. I know it's a different situation, but I still believe he is a legitimate starter. He is pretty young. Remember, same draft class as Lamar, Allen, Baker. We saw Baker have a second act, and it paid off. It paid off pretty big to anyone who invested in him these last 2 years. And I think it could still in Seattle. Some concerns about their offensive line, but another team, their offensive tackles are hopefully healthier this year. And they did add Gray Zabel in the first round. Not the best offensive line in the world, but likely not near as bad as what it was a year ago. So definitely, that's why I'm bullish on Darnold and Kenneth Walker. Let's see. All right, coming up here, JSN is here. That is the easy pick for me. If not, I will probably go back to running back. I don't mind George Kittle either, but yes, we will start with JSN. So we get our first receiver, but again, this is a early to mid 3rd rounder. Some debate whether JSN deserves to go that high, but it's a stack. And, just feeling good about the value I'm getting on this team. Kittle and Walker go. Those are obviously my next 2 guys that I wanted, but still a lot here I like. Can go back to running back with a guy like James Conner. Can go to receiver with guys like Jameson Williams, DK Metcalf. think here I'm going to go Connor. I just think Connor does represent a bit of a tier break, and Connor consistently from a points per game standpoint is like a top 10, top 15 guy. He's going much later than that in drafts. Just a lot of value still there. It also represents a different buy from my other two backs. So, just a situation where I'm always going to have two of my top backs as they stay healthy, because we want to win after the quarterback in SuperFlex. The next positions, I'm looking to win our running back. That's where most points are scored. And I have three guys who can absolutely do it. And then, of course, ideally, in most weeks, all three of them are hitting, and I'm winning the flex as well. And if you look at it that way, then, 5 of the 8 positions in SuperFlex draft, we have a good shot to win. Just leaving wide receiver, who I do have JSN, and, eventually tight end. So, which scores the least amount of fantasy points. So that's kind of the way I look at it and approach it. And I think that's a good way to try and perceive it, is if you win as many positions, then you're going to advance, and you're more likely to have explosive playoff weeks, etc. Tim has a question here. Don't have a lot of Dolphins players this year. Wish they could turn back the clock to a couple years when they dropped 8 points in game, and Chain and Mostert both went nuclear. Yeah, we'll have to see. One of my biggest concerns is their offensive line. The comments, they're going to try to throw the ball quicker. They're already one of the quickest throwing teams in the league. I will say the Dolphins as a whole, the splits with and without Tua were pretty massive when Tua played. Guys like a Chain, Tyreek, Waddle to an extent, and Jonnu all had much more fantasy points. When he didn't play, they were all fairly bad. A Chain, I think, had one pretty good game without him, but that's about it. A-Rod asks, is Josh Allen your unanimous 101 in Superflex, or is it Lamar? For me, I'll take the cop-out. It's a split. There are times where you get the 101 and I take Lamar just because I kind of want to have even exposure to those two. So I've been judging it based on what my exposures are. I do think those two stand a bit above Jaden and then Hurts. But to me, I just want a lot on all four. I absolutely like the little bit of discount in regular that you're getting with Jaden and Hurts, but here you're not getting a discount, so it's like just try and get them as much as possible. Let's see here. I do have 3 starting quarterbacks. I will take Jackson Dart here. I do think he starts a chunk of games this year. It might just be for the playoffs, but I'm hoping this team's in the playoffs. And so then that gives me a fourth out, also protection if a guy gets injured, or, I don't really believe Sam Darnold's getting benched, but if that were to happen, I have some more protection on that as well. Coming up on another pick pretty quick. I am going to no immediate stacks. Could go Debo, but I think I just prefer the upside of Romadunze. Get a second receiver, and I think that's just a kind of, you could go. I look at that pick, I could go on anything. I'm not a big Laporta fan, especially in Superflex. I mean, I like Laporta as a football player, but just where he's going in drafts, I could have gone a fourth running back there like Pollard, but he went right off the board. I'm not a big Brian Robinson Jr. fan, but he went off the board, so it wasn't really a question there. So then it was just kind of like, we're going to take a receiver going between Adunze, Addison, and Godwin for me there. Juwan Jennings kind of in the mix. Dirty P, good seeing you. The schedule, Dolphins do get a benefit with the schedule. Now, do we believe Tua will be healthy then? That is the question. What I will say, the other thing I do like about the Dolphins is their defense, particularly when they get rid of Jalen Ramsey, will probably be one among the worst in the league, would be my guess. So I think they're going to have to throw a lot, or at least keep the pace up. I don't think they're gonna, they're not. Let's be honest, they're not built to run like they were a couple years ago, where Mostert, took just a big chunk of carries and could salt away games for him. I remember that Black Friday Jets game. Jets started coming back, they had like a pick six or punt return or something like that. And then Mostert just kind of took over in the second half and dominated, because either both Hill and Waddle were banged up in the game, and maybe not 100%. But I just remember Mostert just kind of taking over, having a monster game and a big late touchdown to seal it. Chain's explosive, but it's like, how many carries can you get? I love him as a second rounder because just his total involvement and explosive ability, but he's not the type of back who's going to just salt away a game. Also not sure they'll have many of those situations. Hartman, good seeing you. GM. And yeah, so overall, I'm liking how this team is coming together. 4-3-2 to start. You'll see a lot of my SuperFlex teams are similarly built to this. Sometimes I take 4 quarterbacks in the first 5 rounds. Sometimes I've done 1 or 2 where I've taken 4 in a row, or 4 and 6, depending on where I'm at, what's going on. Did I necessarily need Jackson Dart? No, but I think it's fine there. It's higher than his ADP, but there's just such a tier break after that. Joe Flacco is the next quarterback. And then it's one of those things, like, he's going to start games, but it could be very few. That offense as a whole is projected to be pretty bad. And I just worry about that whole situation. I'd be very happy here if Debo came back to me. We'll see what King QC does. If not, I'll probably go Ricky Pearsall or Golden or Diggs. Debo comes back, so I still get my stack. Didn't have to reach for it last time. Really like that. Now I'm 4-3-3, and I could reach on a running back. I do like to have 4 running backs a lot of the times through 10 rounds. Last year, though, 3 was a big issue for me. I took 3, I think, 24 of the 29 teams. I'd have to go back and look. But I do think they're taking at least 3. There were some 4, but that, running back is going to be the next position that produces the points. And I feel better with having the 3 that I got to start. But I think definitely is going to be probably a 4-6-7-3 build. Let's see, Ricky Pearsall, Downs, Mooney. I will go Pearsall here. The one thing to keep in mind with SuperFlex is tight ends absolutely go quickly. You kind of get to, only a couple have gone off the board by this point, but you get to that like 13th through 16th round, and basically the entire starting tight end group is out. Is anyone drafting Alexander Madison? I was drafting Ollie. Will there be a Mostert role? Are you drafting Dolphins backup running backs? Right now, I am drafting some Gordon, drafting low right. Haven't gotten myself to Madison. He's one that I will, be open to if it looks like he clearly has a shot at that Mostert role. I just worry right now it could be just a total waste of a pick. If Ollie shows enough, if Wright shows enough, there might not even be a role in this team for Madison at all, because I just don't know how much like special teams work he would have or anything like that. Let's Gamblestein, hello. Hey, how's it going, man? Who Hames? There was somebody hogging early tight ends in my first draft today. Didn't get a chance to catch your stream. I'll definitely have to catch it later. Yeah, that is an interesting strategy. Would not be my ideal for SuperFlex. I don't mind taking a Kittle. I almost took him at the 1 pick, or even Bowers McBride if they fall enough. And, even Hawkinson slightly later. But when I do, I'm fine actually even with 20 rounds, stopping at 2 tight ends. And, I just don't think we'll get to it. The picks coming up, but I want to talk about that in a second about the how little of importance tight end is. Oh, it was you, James. I see how it is. Let me get here. Fancy Dog, good seeing you. 23rd like. Appreciate it, guys. Fantasy Football Garage. Candyman, good seeing you. And King of QC knew what was up. It was Who Hames. So Who Hames, what was it? You were doing like 2 elite build or how was it going? I didn't get the chance to watch. I will go back and check it out. But I am curious what you were doing. Are you talking about just getting one? You liked getting one early and then getting late guys, or how was it? Let's see here. I will definitely go Ray Davis if he comes back to me. Higgins, Coleman, and Njoku all in the mix. Trey Harris, Bateman. Yeah, Ray Davis did not come back to me, nor did Rashard White. This might end up being a 7 running back team just because I'm not liking what my 4th running back is going to be. None of these are stacks or anything like that. I'm going to go with my first tight end, David Njoku. I know we just talked about concerns about the Browns offense, but I do want some Njoku. Low Judy. I'll have a decent chunk of Tillman and Judkins, and then some of the backup Browns running backs. But it's just not a team I want to invest a ton in overall. Not liking Benson or Blue. We will go maybe Garendo if he comes back. Would be a bit of a team stack with Pearsall. I think there could be some situational role. Also tempted, I think I'm going to make the Trey Harris call here, and very good chance I stop at 6 receivers to get some extra running back help. Nick, good seeing you. Appreciate that. Who Hames? No. Bijan, Kyler, T-Law, Bowers was in the 4th. Gino's still there. Figured he wouldn't make it back. Sometimes he does. Took him, but McBride came back. Oh, wow. That's an interesting, unique build. And were you happy with the team overall? And this is the one thing, receivers, there's more depth to receivers. And this is why there are plenty of times where I've started 4 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, and not taking my first receiver till like the 9th round. Do I always recommend that? Absolutely not. But sometimes you just feel really strong because, again, at that point, you should be winning 5 positions. And just then I throw 8 or 9 receivers at it. So, yeah, the thing that I have with tight ends and why sometimes, even when I start with a mid-round tight end like this, if I get a second one that I like, I'm okay stopping at 2. I'll probably do a 3 in this build. But your tight end is rarely to hit the flex. Now, Who Hames' exception of taking Bowers and McBride, maybe they hit the flex a bit more. But, tight ends are competing. They're just never going to hit the super flex, like on average. I mean, could you have a game where 2 guys score multiple touchdowns, have 70+ yards, 8-9 catches? Sure, absolutely. But in this case, you'd then need 3 guys, or you need a receiver to have hit the flex. So yeah, they're not going to hit your super flex against quarterbacks, and hitting your flex is just so much harder because A, it's 20 rounds, so there's just every team's deeper, and 2, the other part of it is with only starting 2 receivers, if I'm starting 2 receivers and JSN and Dunze do what I'm expecting them to do, then now my tight ends are competing against Debo, Pearsall, Trey Harris, plus whatever other, if I only stop at 6 receiver, whatever 6 receiver I have for the flex, not to mention James Conner, not to mention any other running backs I add. So if my quarterbacks take my quarterback and super flex position, then whatever second tight end I get here, and boy, it did get then faster than I was hoping for, they're just competing against a weaker, much stronger group of wide receivers. So the chance that even really good tight ends, even like a Hawkinson, Njoku, these types of guys, Freiermuth, they're just unlikely to consistently be hitting your flex spot. Youth goes, I will go Austin Eckler. Just more team stack correlation, but I also think he's a very safe running back. Jaden Blue is falling, but I think that is probably the right call. Don't mind some of these other guys here as well. So yeah, I mean, if you that is true. I forgot they had the same buy. That's a little tough. I think makes it slightly weaker, but overall you should be fine. Bindles, good seeing you, man. How's it going? Let's see, question here. I think I'm going to take my second tight end. I'm just going to really considering Ertz, but I just think Gesicki is a higher upside. The Bengals are likely to be one of the highest throwing teams in the league. Also one of the highest passing touchdown teams in the league. So, last year, Gesicki only had 2 touchdowns in one single game. Here's the thing, when you look at Gesicki's fantasy points per game, the absence of Higgins is very big because he had multiple good games when Higgins was out. But his best game by far was his 2 touchdown game when Higgins was out. But if you look at his snaps and targets, the key is when Eric All went down. When that happened, his snap rate went up, his target rate went up. He still had some good games, including week 17, which had Higgins. And when Eric All went down, all those games, his last 7 games, I believe it was, 6, 7 games, whatever it was, Higgins played all those games but 1. So, I think the key for Gesicki is so far the Bengals did not add another tight end, and I don't see that they will. And yes, Hartman, I agree. Like these 4-4 starts, they can be really good. You have to catch up for sure at the other positions, but I think it's a strong way to build. It's a strong way to ensure you advance, but not only advance. Again, you're going to win those 5 positions, and your quarterbacks are all healthy, those running backs are healthy. Then you go into the playoffs and you're just so much stronger at quarterback than a lot of teams that got through. You're so much stronger at running back and flex and of course SuperFlex than most of the teams that got through. So you actually could have a big edge. Sure, you dodging, the 40-point games from a Chase or a Higgins or stuff like that. But if you hit some good receivers, like if for instance this team, if it had been that, if I had taken a running back instead of JSN, what if Rome blows up this year? What if Debo gets back to his magic or Ricky Pearsall, second year breakout? We see this all the time. I don't think there's any reason to think that it can't happen. And there's likely would have been some other receivers as well. And of course, then I'm taking a receiver instead of Austin Eckler and, like Adam Thielen just went off the board. As anyone knows, I'm a big Adam Thielen fan, but he has finished, top 31 each of the last 2 years with plenty of spike weeks, including week 17 last year. So I do think that's one of the reasons I like SuperFlex. I think there are some different ways to build and approach it because, I think a lot of people are still learning it, still trying to figure it out. I think it can be confusing to people at times. No running backs came back to me. I'm going to take the value of Jack Besh. I know the Thornton buzz from minicamp, but Thornton was just not he's a raw talent and a lot of upside. And I think him and Trey Tucker will both see snaps this year on the outside, but so will Jacoby Myers. I think they will find a way to get their second round pick, Jack Besh, involved. He had a breakout year last year at TCU, looked great at the Senior Bowl, combine, the whole 9 yards. I just would not bet against him and bet against that, them finding a way to utilize a guy they prioritized 2 rounds ahead of Thornton. Definitely not my favorite area. The draft. I should have taken Brashard Smith. I will take my guy Taj Brooks. And he's gotten good camp buzz, but as anyone knows who's followed this, I've been on Taj Brooks the entire time. Said he's my favorite sleeper all along. 2520 is what I'm cooking. I only have 2 quarterbacks because I'm started Lamar, Purdy, and and then that's the thing. Like, look, those builds can still work and can still make it. It's just you can't really afford, either of those guys to miss any games, or they have to consistently have a good floor. Which, to be fair, Lamar had the best floor of anyone last year, so that's a good guy to do it with. But Purdy had some games. Look, he missed a game, 1 or 2 games. He had a couple games where they kind of had duds. That Bills game, a few others. And in those games, like, yes, you will have a running back and a receiver that can fill in for the SuperFlex. So it's not like you're getting 0 points there, but you're probably losing, 5 to 10 points those kind of weeks. And I think, can you still survive and advance? Yes. I think if those games happen in the playoffs, it will be very tough to advance, counting on an extra running back, an extra receiver, to win these pods, these 1 of 10 pods. Not saying it's impossible. I'll look at your team afterwards and look at they're absolutely different ways to win this format. And I have teams not where I only do 2 quarterbacks like that, but 2 where I start 2 top end quarterbacks and then wait, and then I'm tacking on like 2 or 3 guys in the dart, Flacco, and then 1 late. One thing I wouldn't mind recommending. Look, we're competing for these same 2 spots here, but those types of teams, when I do 2 at the end, I wouldn't mind handcuffing 1 or both of those quarterbacks. It is 2 extra picks at the position, but you are ensuring that you have all the quarterback points for those 2 teams, just in case, like Lamar misses a game, then maybe the backup can give you at least an above average game. For instance, Malik Willis last year is 2 games replacing Jordan Love, like a 23, 24 point game and a 13-point game. 13-point game isn't like the most ideal for the Superflex position, but it's going to beat most receivers and most running backs in a given week. So it's just something to keep in mind in building out Superflex teams. Tacking on some handcuff quarterbacks can be a good way to help ensure and just say, hey, I'm going to get every quarterback point this team produces. Alec Pierce, that would have been one I would have considered, but I still think I'm going to stop at there, and I'm going to go Raheem Mostert. Look, it's the Alex Genty show, but Mostert is competing against Sensor McCormick and Zamir White, neither of whom brought in by this coaching staff. Mostert was. I think Pete Carroll obviously knows Mostert from his days coaching against him in San Francisco, when Mostert was in San Francisco and he was in Seattle. And Chip Kelly has always kind of utilized 2 backs. I don't think it's going to be like Ohio State or some other times where 2 backs were very more evenly split. But Mostert could get a good 30, 35% roll, have a couple usable weeks as, couple touchdown, vulturing of touchdowns. So I don't mind it. Let's see where we at tight end. Here is a situation I feel good about 2 of them. Sometimes I stop at 2 with this kind of build, but I will tack on another stack in Elijah Arroyo. I wish they would cut Noah Fant, though I will say once they do, I think Arroyo's ADP is going to go up pretty considerably, even though they still have AJ Barner there. Dirty P, I've done a few 6 quarterback teams, spray and pray. Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of those as well. I did some last year. I don't know if I've done a 6 this year. I've definitely done multiple 5s, kind of like I said, gain two known starters and maybe an upside start, potential starter like a Jackson Dart. And then I've done exactly what I just said. Like I've handcuffed my 2 known starting quarterbacks to ensure that I'm getting those the whole way through. And then Jackson Dart's kind of like my third lotto ticket. Or I've taken 2 other just good backups, guys like Tyrod Taylor or Marcus Mariota. And this actually might still be a team I throw on Mariota. I spent a lot on quarterback position. I'm feeling really good about the running back position now. Receiver, feel great. Could tack on there with this 20th rounder. Tight end's definitely done. But I don't, I'm not against adding Mariota as a handcuff for Daniels. I've talked about before. Mariota didn't even get a single start last year. Jane Daniels got hurt on the first drive against Carolina, came out in the game after that. Mariota went on to have 19 fantasy points. Mariota played the second half of the week 18 game against the Cowboys. He went on to have like 23, 24 fantasy points. So he's in a good offense, knows the system. They only added more pieces. Their offensive line should be much better. Obviously adding Debo. I think the Terry McLaurin thing will work its way out. So if Mariota has to play any games, even non-starts, he's shown that he can be very fantasy viable for SuperFlex. Oh yeah, I will do a second draft. Thank you for letting me know that we are at 30 likes. And no, that is fun. Thank you guys for supporting me on this first show. Definitely doing a second draft. Maybe if anybody wants, maybe I'll even do a third draft. Let me know in the chat. Because I do really appreciate everyone coming out, especially when the first couple minutes were pretty damn rocky. Yeah, I think this time, you know what, I'm going to use this. I've done this in SuperFlex more than regular, but I'm going to take Kyle Monangai. I do, whether it's true or not, some of the beat writers have speculated that one of the reasons that the Bears were not more in on like Chubb or Dobbins or are not expected to, to add a veteran via trade or any other cuts is because they've been very impressed with Kyle Monangai so far this year. So that I'm going to take some shots. I think the way I look at it, the Bears right now, it's 3 backs at Swift, Roschon Johnson, and Kyle Monangai. I think 2 of them probably hit. So I want exposure to all 3. All right, let's go into the full draft, go over my team real quick, and go over a couple people who are in here with us. My team, the 4763. Really, and this is what I do like, is when I come down to the last pick and I feel I can tack it on quarterback if I, feel like I totally could go that way. I decided to go running back just because I do think there was enough upside with the Monangai pick. And the other thing is the receiver, and I did have some team correlation with Rome. But the thing with the receiver is I have JSN, I have Rome, I have Debo, Pearsall, Trey Harris, and a fallen Jack Betch. I think I'm getting 2 usable weeks pretty much every game out of that. I mean, Betch and JSN had the same bye. Debo and Harris had the same bye. So I got at least 4 receivers every week. And then Njoku, Gesicki, and Arroyo. So again, another stack there. And then we talked about Gesicki, loving that offense. And I do like, I want some access to Njoku. Points per game, he was great last year. I just wish the offense was a little better. Let's check out King of QC next. 3674. 3 starting quarterbacks, all different buys. That's definitely a good way to do it when you're only stopping at 3. Hall, Kamara, Pacheco could easily have 3 starting running backs there. Michelle Tootin, Garendo, Hunter. So some upside rookie plays, definitely some big burst, big play guys, including Garendo. And of course, just tremendous contingent value if anything were to happen to CMC this year. As for receivers, you know, he went and got an early guy in Puka and stacked him up. So that is a great way to do it. Devonta Smith, then he waited, which I think is smart. Like Khalil Shakir, Darnell Mooney, Quentin Johnston with the stack, Alec Pierce, Tutu, another stack there. And then 4 tight ends, Sam Laporta, Pat Frymuth, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Conklin. We'll see what the Chargers tight end situation is. And I don't know if that was just because didn't love the Schultz pick and wanted a little bit more tight end insurance and the stack. Because, I don't necessarily love 4 tight ends. That is a situation where I probably would even, tack on a backup quarterback. Not that any of these have the most clear handcuff guys. I guess outside of Stafford, but Jimmy Garoppolo is not anyone's favorite, though. Week 18, he did have like 24 fantasy points. But yeah, good, strong team overall. Definitely one that is built very well. Let's see what DJ Quill did. 3-6-8-3. Burrow, Fields, Goff, 3 starting quarterbacks, 3 different buys. Went with the first 3 rounds. Yep, that will do it. Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, 2 definite starters, and then a lot of upside plays here. Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. So particularly if James Cook holds out, it's looking real good. But Najee is still there, and I think a pretty good number 2 back. I love Omari and Hampton, but I think both are going to get work. I think both are going to have usable weeks. You're getting Harris at a massive discount from Hampton. So if this is like a 55-45 split or even 60-40, I think that's fine. And Braylon Allen, I really like Allen. I didn't take Allen much pre-draft because I thought the Jets could target their own guys, but they didn't. And so I think Braylon Allen is a pretty solid bet now. Overall, T. Higgins, Devontae Adams. Yeah, I love those kind of receiver starts. A lot of times I'm getting like sometimes 2 of these types of receivers, and Jameson Williams as well. Jordan Addison, Josh Downs, Romeo Doubs, Sovis, Reynolds with the Justin Fields stack. And then, also Mason Taylor's stack, Isaiah Likely, Hunter Henry, very good team, very well stacked up, multiple pieces for Burrow, multiple pieces for Fields and Goff, and just the one for Goff, but Burrow is extremely stacked up with the Chase Brown. But very well structured team. Let's see the next one. Let me, FK, good seeing you. Let me answer a couple more questions real quick. Let me answer Dirty P's question real quick. What percentage drafts are you ending up with 3 quarterbacks? Is 4th must in the 20th? Even if you start 3 straight, I would say most drafts I end up with 4 quarterbacks. I did advance a decent chunk of 3 quarterback teams. Those are almost all like three of the first 4 round teams last year. But a lot of times, like I said, I don't want to lose because, particularly if it's a good handcuff situation, like a Jaden and Mariota, Love and Willis or something like that. I don't want to not advance just because Jordan Love missed 2 games or Jaden Daniels misses 2 games next year. And you could take a free handcuff in the 20th round. So that's kind of my look at it. So most of my teams will have 4 quarterbacks, even if I start 3 in the first 3 or 4 rounds. Would I say it's a must? No. Like we just went over a couple of 3 quarterback teams. I think they're very fine. If their guys stay pretty much healthy, then they will be very competitive to advance. FK Coolers, quarterbacks really flew off the board in that one overall. Yeah, that shocked me some, but not entirely. I think more and more people might be doing it. Whether I'm moving the needle or not, we'll see. But it's philosophy I definitely believe in. Getting your guys early. And I'll go over it a little bit more. Let me just go over a little bit more with my team in a second. And then with a Lamar Purdy start and pushing your third quarterback to round 15, would you take 2 Browns quarterbacks? And if so, which 2 are you taking? Well, I think Flacco is the number 1 Browns quarterback to take because we can pretty much guarantee he's starting games, whether it's 5 games, 8 games, 10 games. He's starting a good chunk or a chunk. I think the question is, what are the odds that he starts all year? And I think that's fairly small. I think the Browns would have to be in contention. And I just think that's going to be tough, in that division, and just how the team is built totally. I worry about their offensive line and a few other things. As for after that, early reports are on Kenny Pickett. I know that is not fun to click and not fun to consider Kenny Pickett starting a lot of meaningful games next year, or a number of meaningful games next year, but it's at least a reality that we need to consider. Shador, Dylan Gabriel, I've taken maybe once a piece. I've taken Pickett a couple times. I've taken Flacco a few times is the way I'm at. But in that kind of build, I would definitely do, try and have Flacco. And then, Flacco and Pickett would be the way I'd go in that. Hames, yep, a couple picks. And then FK, that's what it feels like. It feels like Shador has to just totally win the job. His coaches clearly valued Dylan above him, or at least enough coaches in the front office. And, they made a trade for Pickett also. They traded like a 6th rounder as well as DTR for Pickett. So I think it's worth, very well, Kenny Pickett could be the number 2 quarterback on this team. And let's see, A-Rod, what team were you again? You were, am I missing it? Oh, no, you weren't in this draft. Okay, because it went Lamar, Stroud, Geno. Okay, you were talking about a different draft. Let me just look at FK's team real quick. I think that's the last one from this draft, unless I missed anyone. And yes, Hames, I agree. I cannot believe Shador is being drafted this high in this format. To me, that's one of the things why I like getting my quarterbacks early, because whether it's a Flacco or, the people, an Anthony Richardson, I mean, these guys, well, I'll say more Richardson and Shador, these guys could be just zeros. Milrow, another one, just could be an absolute zero on the year. The wide receiver, tight end, running back I'm taking at that pick is not going to, there's no chance that there's zero, basically. So let's look at FK's team, 4-6-7-3. Murray, Tua, Russ, and Hal. Russ is another one like Flacco. I took the Dart side because he'll be in the playoffs, but Russ is the advanced piece, and also the guy, when Kyler's in week 8 bye, very good chance Russ is still starting at that point. Could still be starting through Tua's bye as well. And no, I have no problem taking Russ. I'm taking Russ and Dart a decent clip. And Sam Howell, I like tacking on Sam Howell as well. Kevin O'Connell, we've seen it a little bit from Sam Howell before a couple years ago with Washington, a lot of good fantasy games. Some rushing ability. And Kevin O'Connell, Kirk Cousins went down 2 years ago. He was still producing top fantasy games from Josh Dobbs, from Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins, I think, started 3 games, never finished lower as quarterback 14 in those games. Then running backs here, Hubbard, Mixon, Quinshawn, 3 starting running backs. Always love that. Javonte, maybe a starting running back. Tyler Algier, one of the better backups. And then Keaton Mitchell. I'm more in the Hill side of that, but definitely sprinkling in some Mitchell. JJ and Amon-Ra, so gained 2 elite receivers. This is a pretty solid build, to still get, some enough at quarterback. I do think you're going to need Russ to start a good chunk of the year. But you got 2 elite receivers, also some other good ones. I personally probably when I'm taking 2 receivers that early, I'm probably stopping at definitely 6, if not 5. I treat receivers like a lot of people treat running backs, in the sense of like anchors and hyper fragile or double elite. I don't mind guys like Leggett, Slate. I mean, I'm not the biggest Leggett fan, but Slayton Lockett, but it's like, yes, and this team might need, you might need your guys to fill in for the flex a little bit more, maybe even the super flex 1 or 2 weeks, especially with the bias situation, if Russ isn't starting. But I just don't know if I'd be tacking on Tyler Lockett. Like, this is where I'd probably honestly tack on a fifth quarterback, like handcuff Kyler, who is it there now? It's Jacoby Brissett, or handcuff Tua with Zach Wilson. Not the worst ideas. Can it work your way? Absolutely. But just my thought process. And yeah, 3 starting tight ends, very good there, stacked with Jonnu, Loveland, and Cade Otton. I know there's a lot of competition there, but I'm still really like Otton. Let's catch up on the chat before we get into the next draft. Thank you all, everyone, for hanging out. Thank you for the questions, the likes. FK Coolers, I got in quarterback jail in this draft. Yeah, you did, but I think you saved it. I mean, at least you gave yourself a shot. Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, there are times where, and I just want to bring up my team real quick, because I did take 3 quarterbacks in the first, 5 picks, because I took Taylor early. But the way I look at it is, well, I look at this as, if this was a BBM team, I got an elite quarterback and I got obviously amazing backups. But if somebody told you had a running back room of a Chain Taylor, James Conner, Eckler, and then one of these other guys, you would feel amazing about it. JSN, Rome, Debo, Ricky Pearsall, Trey Harris. Sure, in a BBM might have more receivers because we're starting more receivers, but you'd feel really good about that start. Is it the best receiver room out there? No, of course not. But it's not terrible. I mean, JSN, with where we're considering drafting, where we're considering Rome, Debo, Pearsall, I mean, these are, can easily be your 3 starters and in the mix for the flex on a BBM. And then tight ends, and Njoku, Gesicki, Arroyo. So you compare it to a BBM team, and it's not weak at the other positions, and obviously great at the quarterback position. Then you factor in that we're now switching that wide receiver to a super flex position. Of course, that's why these guys are going where they're going. But I like my team to compete with how it's built. Does it need things right? Does it need these quarterbacks to stay healthy? Absolutely. Do we need some of these young receivers like JSN, Rome, Ricky, Trey Harris, Betch to really step up? Yeah, maybe I should have tacked on a 7th receiver there. I debated. But yeah, that's just kind of the way I look at it. And we will get into another draft soon. Adam, good seeing you. And yes, hindsight, and especially when you're in a fast draft, things happen fast for a reason. Dirty P, very hard for me to see the path for picking in Cleveland. I'd rather see the 2 rookies, but Browns are committed to the bit when it comes to blowing the quarterback position. That is very true. Our guy Chad Candles, GMGM, I definitely need to take more backup quarterbacks in Superflex. Yeah, I just think it's a way to help build out your team. And it's like one of those things, like, look, I took Kyle Monangai. There's a chance he's almost a 0. He's the type of back where I mind it a little less. One, because my mid-tier of running backs was not as strong as I typically like it. I kind of missed that window on the, Rashard Whites or Ray Davises. I would have felt a little bit better there. But, those kind of backs, the DJ Giddens, all these guys, even Taj Brooks, who I really like, many of these backs are going in the 18th, 19th, 20th round. I mean, they can be very much zeros themselves. Same with some of these receivers. Not total zeros. They'll get some playing time, but they might never have more than a usable week. Where a backup quarterback, I don't care if it's Mac Jones, I don't care if it's Cooper Rush. I think Cooper Rush had 9 games. I think 4 or 5 of his games had 15 or more fantasy points. And just for a comparison's take, there were only, and Mac Jones, I think, was 4 of 7, if I remember the stats correctly. Just for a comparison take, there were only 11 total running backs who averaged 15 or more fantasy points, and 6 receivers. So your average backup quarterback is more often than not producing at least 15 plus fantasy points. That's why just backup quarterbacks will hit your SuperFlex above really good running backs and receivers. Like I'd be shocked, if I have a receiver or even a running back. Like James Conner is going to average about 15 fantasy points. I think he's averaged 16, 17 the last couple of years. Like most backup quarterbacks are going to do that. So just something to keep in mind. Mac Jones is another one when you have San Francisco pieces, and that can be the other thing to direct to a backup quarterback. If you have some guys from that team, you like the backup quarterback, go for it then. Okay, appreciate it. And just love talking about this. And again, there's different ways to approach it cross-faced. Do you always go 3 tight ends when you get 2 by Gesicki ADP? For this, no. And particularly when I took Njoku earlier, like if it had been, Gesicki, Ertz, or something like that, I honestly still feel pretty confident in that. Just because, as I went over earlier, if I have Gesicki and Ertz, let's just say, or Gesicki and Njoku, how many times are those 2 guys going to outscore James Conner and all my receivers, as well as the other running backs I have on my team, for that flex spot? Very rarely. I mean, if we talk in regular BBMs, and this is definitely mine and Meg's approach. Sam Sharman was the one who really talked about this a couple of years ago, and I've just really gone into it. Is running back should be your flex, and instead of treating it as 2 running back, I'm talking regular drafts now, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex where most people draft a receiver to play the flex. Why not treat it as 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and then the other receivers can help back up the flex position as well. I think a better way to look at it is it should be, I've seen some people kind of capitulate it and say like 2.5 running backs, 3.5 receivers. I really think it should be more like 2.75 or 2.8 for running backs. And then, if it's 2.75, then we'll say 0.15 for receiver, and then maybe 0.2 for receiver, and then 0.5 for tight end. Of course they can happen. And of course, large enough sample sizes, you'll have tight ends hit the flex. I had tight ends hit the flex, throughout the year on certain teams last year. I had tight ends hit the flex in some of my finals teams last year. Though that is also why some of my finals teams did not go as high as they could have, because I was relying on a 10-point flex game instead of, a wide receiver or running back hitting there. So in SuperFlex, those tight ends, the chance that Gesicki and Njoku are both going to have enough points to be outproducing Connor, outproducing my receivers, is just so much less. And then anyone lower than that, what are the odds that the Theo Johnsons, the Juwan Johnsons, the Chiga Conquus, these rookies, not too often. Now, do I do it from a depth standpoint? Do I do it from a, just particularly, that's another reason why I took Arroyo is I just like his upside potential, and with the stack. So there are multiple reasons there, but no, even in 20 rounds, I don't always go 3 tight ends, even when I'm, like Njoku Gesicki in this, or like, the Ertz Gesicki or Frymuth Gesicki type builds. You're a little thinner, but I don't think you're dead by any stretch. And let's see, Adam Mack definitely cook. Yeah, I think San Francisco is another team anyone could cook just about. No, that definitely hasn't always been true. Yeah, Huham should have added Kittle to your Bowers McBride team for bye week points. And look, here's the thing, like those are the examples of tight ends. If you have 2 of those, maybe a Bowers and McBride can hit your flex enough because they produce more than not elite receivers and elite running backs, but they produce enough usable weeks that they're going to hit at a higher rate. But just in general, I think it would be extremely rare for a tight end to hit the flex. And I mean, especially on teams where there's not a ton of injuries, or you have so many overlapping buys, like even mine, like week 8, like James Conner is going to be on bye, JSN's on bye, Jack Besh is on bye. So could both could Gesicki and Njoku, one of those hit my flex? Absolutely. And like Mostert's on buy. So, those are situations. Yeah, there will be some rare times, but it's just not going to be super common. But thank you all for joining the first draft. I'm about to enter a second draft. It will be SuperFlex again, and I will count it down. I will do it from my phone. Let me get back out here and get ready for this. Oh, we got a lot of actives going, but we'll get to those after the stream. Puppy SuperFlex, and we'll be entering the 22nd in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. It is loading. Let's see what we got here. 6 more to start. Plenty of room. Come on and join. Let's see here. Come on. Underdog. All right, just about to get going here. Nice Fantasy Dog. Glad to see that you're in. And we are waiting. We got our guy Fantasy Dog at 1, Mike Robb at 2, the money, King QC at 3, A-Rod at 4, FK Coolers at 7, Quill back in with us at 8, Guy Hartman at 9, Pepper Tony at 10, and me at 11. So unless I missed anyone, which would only be, I think, 3 teams, let us know if you're in this draft as well. But this is going to be a fun one. Click a name a second time, it removes the text. You mean on the comments, Huhaim? Sorry, just like hiding it again. Yeah. All right, we are getting started. Fancy Dog on the clock. Hartman, yes, it should be a fun room. Chad, yeah, it's a tough time to go to the kitchen. You know what? I'm having fun here. I might do a third draft. If you guys are interested, let me know in the chat. Fancy Dog, yeah, going Alan. Like I said, I'm not sure if you were in earlier. I think Alan Lamar is the 1-2 for me pretty much every time. I think I've done Daniels like once or twice maybe. But yeah, I think there's a very slight gap, but a gap between those two. Yeah, FK in for 3. All right. Coming up on mine, I will mix it up. When I typically don't go quarterback in the first round, it's typically for a running back. No one expressly fell, but I will go Justin Jefferson to start this. Christian McCaffrey or Lamb would both be tempting. For me, it's a little high. But I probably going quarterback here. I just don't want to get caught behind. It can get rough, especially at the back end. At the front end, I think you could, kind of do 2-3 other positions and then hope to come back at 4-5. I'm going to go Baker. I like him and Murray, but just really love Baker. And let's catch up on the chat now that are on turn. Let's see. Draft with Mini, Tracy 126, Warren 139, 2 150. That is interesting. Of those 3, I kind of think that's the right order. But yeah, definitely a slide on all of them. It feels like Hartman always won the third draft, disbanded with the dot. Good seeing you in here. 30p, Jack Candles in the kitchen. Be honest, you didn't want in this lobby any more than I did. Yeah, it's going to be a tough room, tough, fun room. But the good news is I'm really hoping two of us get the playoff teams from this. Let's hope on that. This chat should do a private draft. Yikes. You up in here? No, Crossface isn't in this one, but I appreciate him joining us. Yeah, this is going to be a fun room. And, I might have even hurt myself as much as I preached quarterback early. There might not be any quarterbacks coming back to me with me taking JJ in the first round. So let's for a second take a look at it. FK Coolers did do quarterback start after last time. So did A-Rod and NB Ram 11. I don't believe is in here. But yeah, I mean, as expected, quarterbacks flying off the board. See what happens at the turn here. And I do think, getting McCaffrey back, Quill, Bijan McCaffrey, that is a very fun build. I mean, you catch up at quarterback, that. But yeah, you're gonna be pretty ahead of the game in the running back position if McCaffrey stays healthy. Legit, two guys who could finish as RB1. And the thing, again, just preaching it as always, like RB1 is going to pretty much outscore wide receiver 1 in half-point PPR every single year. I believe it has happened. I'd have to go back a few years, but even some of these epic years, like, Lamb a couple years ago goes down to CMC. Last year, obviously Chase, Barkley's above him, etc. So Mike Robb went with the strong 3-quarterback build to start. Lamar Goff May. I love those kind of builds. I do those plenty. Like I said, last round, you're gonna be very ahead of the game at the quarterback and SuperFlex position. Can others of us in this room catch up? Sure, but you are the front runner in terms of those two positions for sure with that start. I think it's definitely possible. I wouldn't mind it. What I did last time, starting 3 and then tacking on, Jackson Dart, you definitely don't have to do. One thing you could take a shot at is getting a handcuff. And even if it's like, I know there's not maybe the greatest handcuff for Lamar with Cooper Rush there now. And though, again, he produced. Let's see, I'm on the clock. And yeah, this is the thing. Like, I feel like I do have to just reach a quarterback. And unfortunately, McCarthy went. That is one of the tough things about taking JJ in the first round. You almost never get McCarthy back. Not that I blame DJ Quill for taking him. You got to take him. Let me get Penix there. But the one you might want to consider handcuffing would be like Hendon Hooker for Detroit. Got some rushing ability. This will be his 3rd year in the offense. If Goff were to miss any time, like Hooker, I know, I never have to tell you about how to pay for hookers, but I think 20th round value, Mike Robb, is pretty good for a guy like Hendon Hooker, who just has that ability. If he didn't get injured at the end of his college career, he maybe doesn't sneak in the first round, but he definitely would have gone higher. And I just think you have enough reasons to do it. is a 20th round click. What extra running back or receiver is going to put your team over the top? Probably none. But even if it's early in the year and Goff misses 3 games, to just have another, 3 quarterbacks those 3 games, whether it's covering like a guy's bye or not, it's just it gives enough upside, I feel like, in my opinion. And yeah, it looks like Who Hames agrees with me. And disbanded how to pay for hookers. Yes, definitely the subtitle now of the stream. So, but no, it is one where if you stop at 3, you stop at 3. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. One thing I like about those kind of builds is there's just so many ways to approach it. Whether it's, hey, let me get a 4th guy that I feel a little better about, like a dart. Maybe a Tyler Shuck falls around. I've had that happen before, and it's like, geez, I could have a 4th starter. Sure, why not? Whether it's of Joe Flacco, particularly if he falls a little bit, it can pay off. But yeah, you can kind of probably ignore the purple button for quite some time. Yeah. Yep. Getting AJ Brown feels good. You're about to get another good, positional guy coming up. So that's why I like these builds. Is I don't feel you get that far behind. Take a drink here while we wait a little bit, see what everyone's doing. Fantasy Dog going with Allen in the very strong running back room of Genty, Achane, and Kamara. That is, that's going to be a running back room that wins the running backs and the flex position quite a bit. Taking London as well. And then, yeah, Mike gained his first running back with Hall, so pretty good balance. And, and many different ways to approach it. One thing, like, had you gone back to receiver, Mike, particularly Ladd, I would have stopped at 5 if you did that. Not saying what you did is wrong, pulling up Hall, but if that was the approach you took and saying, I'm taking Brown and Ladd, 2 guys who go like, 17 to 20 in regular drafts, then just stop at 5 receivers. So I'm coming up in you, and yeah, quarterback is cooked for at least a couple of rounds. And we will see here what I get. Not the biggest Kyron fan. But, I will take him in this build. Team correlation with Stafford, and he very likely should have the touchdown roll. See what this 12th spot does here. What's left for me? Yeah, no, I get it. I get wanting running back. I mean, I just had that same in Fantasy Dog. Yeah, quarterback run went heavy, and here's the thing: like, if I pull up Mike Evans for the stack over Rice, I think I'm going to do it. I think there's plenty of ways that Mike Evans, who had 203 points, missing 3.5 games last year, and 243 the year before, to outscore Rice. So I like that with the stack. Game my guy. I also consider Devontae Adams because he's another guy who absolutely can smash, but I just correlated Kyron Williams. I'm definitely more in on the Rashee Rice. I don't love him going ahead of Higgins that I see in drafts. I understand why he goes ahead of guys like Marvin Harrison, JSN, a few of these other receivers. They're in the, at that 2-3 turn. But he's, given his price, I'll probably just be around the field with Rashee Rice. in anything but like Eliminator. Eliminator, I will be lower on him. I think even though he looks ready, we see this plenty where teams still, those guys start off slow. So that'd be the one contest I'm still kind of out on Rice at his current price. But everything else, I'll probably be around the field, but I'm not going to have a massive amount of him. Just, I think there's ways that it can fail. Let's see. And catch up on chat. I've definitely missed a lot. Five holes doom. Sorry, we'll look at it. I feel targeted. You and Tucker talking about my question. I just do. Hartman, crazy how fast quarterback went off the board. This one does seem like I've been preaching to a choir here, so that's good and bad. And I'm in this room as well. Definitely not getting some of the quarterback values. Used to getting Steve is the best ball mentor. Thank you, disbanded. A-Rod did not mean to click Devonta there. Sorry about that. That happens to all of us. P. Hartman reading the room. It would be crazy if quarterbacks didn't fly. So cowards like I can't start railing this draft. Mike, when did the lad chicken out? Yeah, I read that already. Yep, yeah. It's all good though. Week 17. Not sure what that was. Oh, the Penix and Kyron Stafford. Yeah. A-Rod taking Kyle. I accidentally clicked. 30p. I'm cooking through trust. There are ways it fails, also ways it crushes. After my picks, I will bring up the board and Dirty P. Let's see the board. Got Chicken Hartman says he's crushing you all. Let's see it. After my picks, I'll bring it over so we can take a good look at it. So yeah, definitely looking at it here. I'm going to pull up, I think, a running back first to ensure I'm getting one. Since I already have two receivers. It's another reason why when I pivot away from quarterback in the first round, I don't love going receiver just because it's like these are the guys when I'm coming back up that are available. So let me go Jenkins, get my second starting running back. We'll see what's left for us after the 12 spot picks. Definitely could go third receiver here. If I do go three receivers, it could be a 5 wide receiver team. We'll just have to see. I do like Caleb Johnson as well. Caleb goes, so I will take another receiver. No stack. So, since I passed on Rice, I will actually say I was right all along, and Worthy is the pick here. I just want some Worthy, such an explosive guy, fun player. We saw him get better and better as the season went on. Let me bring up the board now that I picked. Hartman's coming up on his next pick. So Hartman started Saquon, Field, Stroud, Ward. That's very strong. Wilson with the stack, Rashee Rice, and David Montgomery. So, two starting running backs, three starting receivers, two top end receiver, or three starting running backs, two receivers. Yeah, I like this kind of build. This is a build I like, regardless of the order, whether you went quarterback, then running back, quarterback. But yeah, hitting a lot of key things there. Through 8 rounds, he's got 3 running backs, 3 quarterbacks, 2 receivers. I think that's a good way to build also. So yeah, I will say I think Hartman's doing a good job with his build. Like how she says Junkins. Yeah. No worries, Crossface. I will work on that. I'm not sure exactly how to do that. So that might be the next time I stream. Let's see if I can figure this out quickly without doing anything dumb. I don't know if I can. So next time I stream, I will get that figured out. Who Hames? I was thinking earlier, all the SuperFlex can hurt my chances on Jeopardy. Yeah, no. Speaking of Jeopardy, I have the GOAT, the Justin Herzig, 5 straight BBM finals. Definitely, I know he's looking to make it 6. So he knows what the ADPs are. I know he knows the bye weeks. He's going to be tough competition, but should be a good one this Wednesday. How are you guys letting Hartman get away with this? This town needs a sheriff. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I blame myself. Not taking a quarterback in the first round or a running back there definitely put me in a more uncomfortable situation. Not that I think my team's bad, my build's bad or anything like that, but I don't love my running back room, and I'm never a fan of that in these kind of drafts. I probably am going to stop at 5 receivers, see if that will allow me to catch up. But yeah, we'll have to see. Hartman. Dang. All right. So 8 picks away. Let me go back to the board real quick. Let's check in. Fancy Dog said he misclicked. Just took Richardson. I know he's higher in Richardson. So again, another quarterback there. Mike, who did the 3 quarterbacks to start. AJ Brown, Breece Hall, George Kittle. Love Kittle in this, in this turn range here, whether it's 71, 74, that area right there is perfect. I generally stop at 2 tight ends when I have a guy like Kittle. Then mix in Travis Etienne. So yeah, starting 3 quarterbacks in a row and a receiver with this next pick. Still has Hall, Mixon, Etienne solid. Ridley is another tight end or another receiver and an elite tight end. Very, very strong build. Let's see, coming up here. Might be having to pull up running back because just taking another receiver here just doesn't feel great. Could go TJ Hawkinson. Or Mason just goes off the board. Thank you, Hartman, for taking Brian Robinson Jr. So I didn't have to. I feel better with the world in not having to take him. I think did somebody take Scadaboo? Of course they did. Oh no, Scadaboo's there. There's enough. I will take Hawkinson here. I might even stop at 2 tight ends with Hawkinson and another guy. Definitely don't mind that. And then I will get one of these guys. So, and that's why I took Hawkinson there. I saw either game one of the New York guys, Tracy Scadaboo, or Naj, who's solid. Not my favorite here. Honestly, glad that we gained one of the New York guys over Naj. For the bit, but honestly, for the upside, I'm going to take Scadaboo. I just think he presents more total upside than Harris. Hartman shot the sheriff. So crossface, yep. There should be SuperFlex category in Jeopardy. I think that would be a Who Hames and I thing. I don't think many of the other PPR titles in SuperFlex as well, but like Cody's, I know, totally out, and a few others are just dabble. Like Bindles, I believe, is not a big SuperFlex fan. So the guy who just absolutely shredded Jeopardy last week wouldn't be a fan, but Vaporware, appreciate seeing you, appreciate the comment. Hartman shot the sheriff. Yeah. Disbanded, I like how you make logical picks. I'm going to assume you're talking about me and not Hartman. But no, Hartman does as well. You do it. There's no SuperFlex in BVM. Yeah, so that's the thing. There's not old data for some of those things. You could obviously do like ADPs and stuff like that for SuperFlex. Yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, I don't know if I've ever really heard Bindle's take. Yeah, he's a huge dynasty guy. Great at that. I know this is his thing. I'm a big fan of Dynasty also. Not what he does. He's in like 40 teams, 40 Dynasty teams, or maybe even more, maybe 60. I can't remember. I've heard him talk about before. That's a lot, I'll say. But yeah, I don't know. I've heard other Dynasty people who are just not into Superflex. I don't get it because a lot of Dynasty, honestly, Dynasty league I'm in is not Superflex. It's tight end premium, but not Superflex. But a lot of Dynasty is Superflex, so that is definitely interesting. So let's see, coming up 5 picks away. Definitely some more running back help I could use. Don't mind Cooper Kupp. Could get just a second good tight end. Be done. Don't want to leave no mysteries for those watching the stream. Dobbins, I like Hartman pulling up Dobbins there. Yeah, Charbonnet goes. You know, I'm gonna. I'm gonna take Ray Davis. Didn't get him last draft. I do like him. You know, even though Cook missed, I think, 1 game last year. Ray Davis had 400 plus yards, touchdowns, caught the ball decently. I know Ty Johnson's back. Early in pre-draft, I was really in on Ray Davis. Then they bring Ty Johnson back. Pushed me back a little bit, but overall, I still think it's great. Yeah, you know, I really am thinking, you know what? I'm going to take Flacco here. It's a little early for him, but I did wait on quarterback. Considered a tight end there, but I think I'm really stopping at 5 receivers. So Kupp didn't have massive appeal to me. I definitely stopping at 6. 5 is optional. So I thought about double tapping tight end there, Warren, Njoku, or Kraft. But I don't think the gap is that big of a difference between these kind of tight ends and the tight ends in the next group, the Freiermuths, the Gesicki's, Strange, Ertz, Hunter Henry. To me, they're very similar. So I think I can wait. Vapor, yeah. One day there will be BBM, but Superflex. Look, I looked at it. I believe there were only 4 different Superflex contests last year. SuperFlex Puppy, which was about a quarter the size of this one. There was a SuperFlex Pomeranian that actually was the most entries. It was like 110,000, somewhere in that ballpark. That was a 50 max. And then there was a SuperFlex Pug, 3 max. I think there's about 20,000 entries in that. And then SuperFlex Golden, single entry. And can't remember what the golden is off the top of my head, but I'll guess, 12,000, 20,000, somewhere in that ballpark. You add all those together, this SuperFlex Puppy will have more SuperFlex entries than those 4 entire contests did all last year. So I do believe they will be doing more SuperFlex. I think overall, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit, is I think overall, I know the fill rate has gone down with the Schnauzer and some of the other things, but I think overall they're happy. It's been open less than 30 days, 25 days, 26 days, something like that. And it's filling 2.5% a day. I know earlier it was more over 3%. But it's not going to take much longer for the SuperFlex Puppy to fill than the actual puppy filled. And considering it's, like I mentioned before, it's so much bigger than all of the SuperFlex drafts they did a year ago. I think they got to be very, very happy about that. So I think we're going to see a lot more. We might not see multiple, pugs and German shepherds, but I think we're probably going to see one of each, maybe another SuperFlex puppy. I've not done any FFPC at all, premium tight end format. I do like premium tight end. The one I'm in, we are half point PPR, so like underdog, and then tight ends 0.75. Ben, yeah, I think we are going to do another one. I'm enjoying this, enjoying the chat, enjoying the stream, having fun ripping these drafts. Dirty P, I think the fall on James Cook is crazy. I agree with that as well. I am taking plenty of James Cook. And I am going to pull up Austin Eckler just because I want help at our running back position. There's tight ends here I would take. There's receivers I would definitely take. Let's see what the 12 spot here is, and I'll get back to the questions. Did take Ferguson. That would have been my tight end pick. Tight end's going to die off. So I'm going to take, I know it's a stack with Pitts, but I'm just not taking them. Sorry. I would take Pat Freiermuth. Probably going to be done with 2 tight ends in this build. So yeah, James Cook, I think his ADP, just so many ways that he can do it, catching the ball more. I know he ran hot with touchdowns and way more than he did in his first couple years combined. But this Bills offense has changed since his first year and a half. The offense coordinator changed. I think while I could see Allen throwing the ball more some this year, that doesn't preclude Cook. And I know Cook benefited from multiple 30, 40-yard touchdowns, which can be tough to replicate. But we're talking about a great offense here, good young player. I'm absolutely buying. The upside is there. Fancy Dog says he's got a plan. I get it. I get it. Everyone's got to have their plan. I'm gaining a draft while all you sickos are occupied here. Crossface, I got it. 114 down, 36 to go in SuperFlex. Yeah, I got 29 now to go, I think. They still have some slows going, so I'm only through 90 some. I think we saw earlier. Big brain move. Fancy Dogs agreeing. Yeah, no, it's a tough room. There's no question. But that's the fun of it at times as well. And hopefully we're all learning something and just seeing different strategies, different ways to draft. We'll quickly go over teams, and yeah, I think we'll rip a third. I'm enjoying the chat, the drafts, everything. So hopefully you guys are liking it. Hopefully you guys are okay with some of my tech issues. I will get my picture moved up and change things around going forward, and a few other things. But yeah. So yeah, one question I was curious with the chat, if Underdog did do that, released, not just the pug, not just the Pomeranian and the golden like they did last year, but they have a pug, or I'm sorry, a poodle, a German Shepherd, Chihuahua, just down the list. Maybe some of the sizes are a little different, whatever, we'll have to see. But, do you think most of you would be drafting those and filling those as well? I'm pretty safe to say that I will be if they do that. And I imagine they will, but I'm just curious. And also I do wonder if maybe last year Pug and Golden were the only things $10 or more, $10, $12. Maybe they released something $15 just for SuperFlex or something along those lines. Let's see here. We took Jack Batch last time. Definitely don't think I need to take him here, but I will take Tillman with the stack with our boy Flacco for however long I have him. And I'm probably going back to 6 receivers now. Got up a little bit at running back, tight end. Feel real good there. I will. Oh, I love Pat Bryant, but I think I will Shipley. There's just more depth at the end of the receiver room. There's just clear starters still being taken in the 18th, 19th, 20th rounds. And yeah, I mean, a few running backs I don't mind. Justice Hill, though, and Hunter go right off the board. So, yeah, they weren't coming back. But, feel okay about my running back room. Definitely not my favorite strength. Probably 3 starters, assuming Cam does what we believe. And then 3 good backups on good offenses. Not the best, not the worst. Let's catch up on chats here. I'm enjoying the stream so far. Thank you very much. You too. Thank you. It's all about learning experience and meeting great people along the way. Absolutely disbanded. Appreciate it. Vapor Will, thank you. Uhames, I feel the strategy of SuperFlex isn't fleshed out yet, and this group has an advantage. I definitely agree with that. No, and it's the same when when Uhames is ripping these drafts and I'm jumping in with him. I feel like his listeners, which all you are as well. If you're not, Uhames, does so much great work, and Hartman and other ones in this chat that we've talked about, like Fantasy Football Garage, etc. Definitely don't want to leave anyone out. But no, Uhames has really been in this space from the jump. He had me on to do a show very early, like maybe day 2 or day 3 of the SuperFlex release, and we ripped a couple of really good drafts. So yeah, 100%. If you had a 3-5 start, how many running backs would you typically stop? I would, if 3-5, I'd probably still tack on a 6, but it would be like a last 3 round running back. I mean, every now and then maybe I'd sprinkle it in a little earlier if like a value was there. Some guy fell a round and a half or something like that. But assuming that you got like 4 starting running backs out of that 3-5 start, and like a good top end backup or like 1B type back like a Tracy or Warren, then I rarely, just given the 20 rounds and I feel the importance of running backs, rarely am I only going to take 5. I think just from an injury standpoint, and even if it's a handcuff standpoint, like you have a chain and you take an Ollie Gordon late or a Wright late or something like that. Hartman, I would like SuperFlex contests that are 20 max or less. That I agree with. And that's why I think most will be, the Palm last year was 50 max. Like I said, is 100-some thousand. I have to look up the exact number. I get that. I get tired of SuperFlex drafts quicker than other types. Yeah, I mean, I definitely kind of felt the same way about the Puppy. These ones take a while, especially when they're going to fill. And it's not like BBM where we're like, okay, we can do a little each month. Let's see what we got here. Let's go to receiver. I think we'll go 6 receivers and go, Michael Wilson. Maybe Keenan Allen ends up there, but if not, he's a starter. I didn't have a week 8 bye yet. We're only doing 6. Very tempting to take Keenan Allen there. I am going to pull up Rashard Smith. to get a 7th running back. Some of these tight ends, Juwan, who Peppertone just got, Theo, they're fine starters, but I rarely think they're ever going to hit my flex. I'd much rather strengthen these other positions, even, again, tacking on even a 5th quarterback is potential. Not saying I will. If I got 2 picks to go, running back, not great, but 4-7 feels pretty good. 7 guys. My receivers are fine. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is, and I've said this before, if you look at it, if you are lucky enough to play all 17 weeks, you have 2 starting receiver positions. That's 34 starting receiver positions. Let's say they have to fill in for the flex 6 to 17 weeks. I think that's probably high, but let's say they do. That's 40 starting receiver positions throughout the year that you would have. If Jefferson and Evans are anything like we expect them to be, they're taking 30 of those, 34, not 34, but they're not all both going to have 17 starting weeks, or I guess 16. They can max at 32, but they're going to take, so maybe 30 is a little high, but they're going to take 28 of those. So like the majority of weeks, they should be hitting your lineup. And then it's Worthy, Tillman, Mike Wilson, whoever else I add can fill in for those spots. So here for this last one, I'm definitely not going to take a week 9 bye because I have Evans and Tillman. And I could maybe go 7 receivers. Cousins, I assume. Cousins is gone. Like, Cousins wouldn't be a bad backstack to Penix, but he does still go at a decent early clip. I wish he was going more in this 20th round range. And just Hartman's point, we talked about a little bit, but I'm hoping most of the other ones are 20 or less. 4 years deep, best ball. Many of us are not far ahead, and it's only really been these last 3 years I've been doing volume. Ben definitely join next draft. Lots similar teams if you don't vary structurally. That I agree with. Yeah, because the quarterbacks all kind of go, all the starters are going in the first 5 rounds, and it's not like it's getting mixed up to any great extent. So here, I'll take my guy Ray McLeod for the stack, and just to give me the option of what I want to do with this last final pick. It might end up going back to the receiver well. Tutu's there for a stack. There's nobody at running back. There's Neil, Monangai, JCM, Ollie. I sprinkle in all those rookies. Don't mind them one bit, but I feel like hot up enough with the stack. I think that will seal it. Me going back at much of the 2 positions, going thinner at tight end than wide receiver. There's no quarterback I feel like I need to take there. So I'll go 2-2 to finish it up. We'll look at these teams, and then I'm going to rip a third. Chase. Chase Brown McBride team. We did that on stream, I believe, and that was real fun. Expanded this my 1st year, 4th year. Know what the fuck I'm doing now. So Gamblestein, Steve, thoughts on Titans wide receiver situation beyond Ridley, wide receiver 2 and 3 wide open? It absolutely is. I, for one, am approaching it. I think so far they've added just Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson. Definitely 2 extremes there. Van Jefferson much younger, but Tyler Lockett much better. Is the way I look at it. I know he only had 600 plus yards a year ago, but 2 years ago, he out targeted JSN's rookie year. Does he have that much juice left in the tank? Probably not, but could he come out and be a 700 to 900 yard receiver? I think so. I think he's a veteran. I think they're going to probably want him. Cam Ward throwing to a guy like him. They have 3 rookies, 2 drafted in the 4th round, DK, Io Manor, and then undrafted Restrepo. Io Manor had a lot of pre-draft buzz that I was just frankly never in on. He's a size, speed guy. He's a guy who I've said all along, he's a redshirt sophomore, very raw. Stanford, terrible passing offense. He had a couple of big games, and of course, everyone cites the game against Travis Hunter 2 years ago. But the way I look at it is Io Manor is just not ready. Right now, if he plays, he will play more due to his blocking ability than his catching ability. And that's never, to me, an ideal situation. Like you're essentially saying he's Mac Hollins. And that's fine. There's a role in the NFL for that, particularly as a 4th rounder. There's a role for that. But I just don't think he's going to earn a lot of targets as a rookie. I think DK would earn more than him, but honestly, Restrepo is the guy I would target because your outside receivers are primarily Ridley and Lockett, which you can 100% do. Then Restrepo, like his speed isn't going to matter a lot less in the slot, and he does have that connection with Cam Ward. Apparently, during the pre-draft process, Cam Ward was pumping up Restrepo to every single team he talked to. Seems to be a good bond there. They had a great year. I worry less. Famously, Jarvis Landry was a 4.7 combine receiver. Had many good years in the slot. So, Restrepo, I just feel he's a better route runner than both DK and Io Manor. DK has some interesting speed upside and could be a deep threat. I could see him getting sprinkled in more. I probably would bet on him more than Io Manor. But honestly, like I think Meg said it in the chat, I'm taking Restrepo, especially in time box tournaments. Yeah, because he's going to be like 2%, 1% owned. And let's get a couple more comments before we get into it. But yeah, so Restrepo, I'm taking some for sure. Chickened out on the late night hooker, felt a little cheap and didn't see me getting any action from it. That is fair. Keenan Allen signs in Tennessee. Where are we drafting that guy? And this is the thing. If this is the land, one of the landing spots for me now. I know it's not talked about. Not sure if you'd want to go there for a team probably not making the playoffs, of course, but he would have a lot of targets. If he does sign there, I think he goes up to like 12th, 13th round. I mean, we're talking a guy who, I've seen fantasy points data, others talk about the last couple of years when he's on the field. He missed 3 games 2 years ago with the Chargers, 2 games last year with the Bears. But when he's on the field, he's putting spike weeks up at a rate that, only like Chase and Jefferson and Lamb are putting up. And have you drafted Restrepo? Yes, I have. DJ Quiff on draft. Thank you. And Restrepo is that, he doesn't have the long speed, but he's got that short area quickness, like I mentioned with Jarvis Landry. I did like 2 times. Let me just catch up on chat real quick before we get in the third one. Restrepo, the real Titans wide receiver too. Very well could be. I mean, I'm taking Lockett. I know Meg is not taking Lockett. Got excited when I saw that Meg was taking shots, and disappointed as I read that they were shots of Restrepo. Hope I save him team. Make it rough on us. Hey, it's all about a learning process. It's all about having fun, getting some action out there. Like, anything can happen in these drafts. Like there is an injury luck element to these types of teams. Let me just look at teams real quick. Fancy Dog, Allen. Yeah, look, your running backs are insane. Receivers are very strong. Jalen Milroe, James Winston, Sam Howell. So I like you took some volume at quarterback. You're going to need things to go right. You're going to need like Richardson or Milroe to play. Winston, whether it's with the Giants are traded, or Sam Howell, like I mentioned, JJ McCarthy is coming off an injury. There's no question about that. And like I said, Kevin O'Connell's offense is an offense that I want pieces of. So McCarthy misses any time. Sam Howell could be absolutely a strong fantasy guy. Our boy Mike Rob in number 2 in 2 spot. Yeah, very strong start. We saw it through ETN, Diggs, Javonte Williams, Trey Harris, Rashard White. Running backs good. Tight ends are good. Took a third tight end. Do you have to? No, but I get it. Was it Fields? No, you didn't have Fields, but I get the bring back to May. Yeah, I mean, strong, just absolutely strong across the board, taking a shot on Thornton. And this is what I do mean, and nothing wrong with the approach of Mike Robb, but I just wanted to highlight the bottom two rounds here and why taking whether it's a handcuff quarterback or I think Hartman had Justin Fields. I'll look in a second. But again, whether it's a handcuff quarterback or just a Sam Howell type, James Winston type, if these guys see the field, the chances that they outscore a Thornton and a Donnie Mitchell, who could be the 4, though I like the upside, don't get me wrong. Turpin, same kind of thing, could be the 4 there. Silvis, same thing. Like he was probably number 3, but 4th behind Gesicki. Jalen Naylor, I mean, he's, first couple of weeks he might have a role with Addison suspended, but how much of a role is there? Jalen Knoll, I'd like to fall on Gabe Knoll there. Hartman, I don't know how that happened. De'Ami Brown, these are some number 3 at best receivers in general, and some of these are 4s. Same with these running backs: Hunt, Jordan James, Woody Marks. Not saying any of these are bad picks in and of themselves. It's just a backup quarterback who gets on the field will score more than these kind of back. I mean, Sean Tucker, if there's not an injury in front of him, might only have 1 usable week next year, and that's in a blowout. Honestly, same with the Ray and Tutu, the guys that I took. I'm not like throwing stones. I'm taking these same kind of guys, but I felt, because of the Flacco pick, I felt confident. I'm just saying, if you want some extra insurance, it can be a great way to add on. I absolutely was considering a 5th quarterback here for that very reason. So, just different ways to build, but it's like, how often, people say, oh, these guys are never going to hit your lineup. Well, how often are these other types of receivers and backs in this range hitting the lineup? It's very rare. Just going to go over a couple of the other teams real quick. King QC, Jane Daniels, Derrick Henry, Jordan Love, back to the running back room. Gain Daniel Jones, I like that. Daniel Jones, I think, is kind of like the value spot if he is the starter, which it does look to be, to get a starter kind of like the last starter standing, outside of Chuck and the Giants situation and Browns. And then good. And then still tacking on Dart. So yeah, I think your quarterback room is going to be very, very good, especially with Jaden as the anchor. Running backs are solid. T-Mac, Debo, Golden. We're going rookies, but you only need 2 of these guys. Josh Downs, double tapping the tight ends there. Really like that. Still adding on Ertz with the stack like that. Braylon Allen. Yeah, I mean, strong team. Woody Mark's definitely not my favorite back with Henry there, or Chubb there now, but and that's I had a pre-draft bias against Woody Marks, but he could be the passing back. It's not like Chubb's ever been a passing game guy. A-Rod, Hurts, stack, absolutely love that start. Nico, JT, Devonta, Chubba, Harvey, yeah. So you start with 2 top-end quarterbacks, still get all these guys. You tack on any more quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, yeah. 2 guys, Pickett especially, could have some starts. Rudolph, if anything happens to Aaron Rodgers, for sure. FK, 3 quarterback start, I remember that. Brian Thomas, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, really hitting the running backs there like that. Back to receiver was Zay and Pearsall, Travis Kelce in the mix. Brandon Ayuk, definitely he's a guy I'm just going to be lower on across the board until we get some real clarification, but I get it, the upside case for it. Burden, so yeah, some Chicago 49ers correlation, with Purdy and Ayuk and Garendo, Pearsall. So I definitely get it from a team stack perspective. Tacking on Dylan Gabriel, like that is what, again, we don't know what the Brown situation is going to be. They're a good team to tack on a backup quarterback because anyone could hit. DJ Quill, elite running back start. In JJ and Darnold. JSN with the stack, Terry, DK, Russ. So at least a guy you should be starting a fair number of games. Come playoff time, you might be down to 2 quarterbacks, but if you're one of the ones advancing on this pod, JJ and Darnold are fine. I'm not really buying Darnold bench risk, but I know others differ on that. Yeah, really solid. I would have maybe tacked on another quarterback just like for the Jalen Naylor. I know you have JJ, but what are the odds that Naylor's hitting a lot of stacks, especially late in the year? I probably would just have added one more quarterback just for insurance. But yeah, Hartman, he said he was cooking earlier. Let's see how he finished it off. Yeah, I mean, when you're getting Chris Olave as your wide receiver 3, that feels pretty good. Back to J.K. Dobbins, Higgins, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, and Mike Gesicki, Jarquez Hunter, Demario Douglas, Kean Mitchell, Noel. I don't know how he fell that long. And then Tyrod Taylor, definitely my favorite, whether it's handcuffed or just guy to target. I think Justin Fields has a very small bench risk, like minuscule. But, honestly, it's not for those who think Darnold's going to get benched. I don't know if there's that much difference between Darnold and Fields' situation. If either are so bad and the team's out of it, I would keep that in mind. I again think it's extremely small, but Fields has never played a full season, so I think Tyrod is an excellent guy there. Peppertoni, not sure if he was ever in the chat. I can't remember, but Gibbs, 3-starring quarterbacks, McBride with Kyler, yep. Tyreek Hunter, Tyler Show, so again 4 starters. If Show starts, yeah, really good team across the board. And we already went through my team as we went through it. I don't typically start quarterback if I'm starting or starting a non-quarterback, start receiver. I'm usually going running back if it's not a quarterback. Was still very happy to get Baker because that's who I would have taken at 11. And, Penix, Stafford, fine. Flacco, guy, I don't mind reaching a little bit to tack on just because I do know I feel pretty confident that he's going to start. I'm going to catch up with the chat, and then we will get into the third draft. Geez. Sorry. I did not mean to keep your dummies chat up. Let's see. Just get another chat going. Sorry, I went way back. Went way back. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I will quote Megan Lockett. Ooh, yeah, she's not a fan. But yeah, I'm with Gamblestein here. I think he's the presumptive number 2. I especially of all formats, of course, I like him in Eliminator because maybe by the end of the year, like DK has taken on a bigger role, maybe even Ion Manor slightly. Still not buying it. I think Ion Manor is more like 3 years down the line. And that's exactly what Gamblestein says. Wish I had the Devontae pick back. Yeah, that I wondered about. Just went through, messed up the bye weeks on my tight ends and had to add a third. I didn't notice that. But yeah, that is a thing. Can't see Dog's team. Where's Meg? I will. I think building some rosters like Fantasy Dog, Super Team, if we can steal quarterback points. Yeah, and that is the thing. If things break right and you get some of these backups to fill in, or you're right on like the Richardson call or the Milrow call, you have a stacked team otherwise. You just need some things to go away. So I would say if you're doing volume, like I know Dirty P is, like who Hames and I are, then yeah, doing some of it. You should hire a production team. Yeah, I need to get better. There's no question about that. Took Greg Dortch in the 18th round. Yeah, mixing some things up, I get it. By the human Dortch, mixing some Taysom Hill in the 20th. I just can't get there. We'll see. My concern, I know it's still the same GM and everything, but it is another new coach. And this one didn't have ties to the previous Sean Payton staff. I worry. And Taysom Hill, I mean, dude's incredible what he does, but he's also like 35. It's not like he's 25 and just blew out his knee in December. So that's my concern. And locked out. I'm lower in IU2. Yeah, no, I get that, FK. Yeah, sorry about that. Fields, I think, carries more injury risk. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Hartman. No, and what I was just saying from a bench risk standpoint, if you think Darnold could get benched, Fields is a very similar bet. Like both, almost all the money, guaranteed money, is in the first 2 years. So it's slightly different, but kind of the same. Pepperoni lurking, but still like the stream. All right, see ya. Good drafting with you, Pepperoni. Right, just 100% for the playoff option. I heard Savion and Warren tight end compared to Taysom. In my mind, no one compares to Taysom. True unicorn. Yeah, I think nobody truly compares to Taysom Hill because he's so elite as a runner. Savion Williams is interesting, but yeah, he's not like a tight end mix also. But he's Savion Williams, as I've said before, he could be very interesting if he almost becomes the Packers passing down back. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but let me enter into this last draft. And I'm going to do one more. So I hope everyone I know wanted to be in there for it. Going to do 20 seconds again. So I'm going to count down starting now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. Puppy Blood SuperFlex. Three more to start. So let me bring it up. Yeah, still plenty of time on these slows. I'll get to them later. And of course, I need to refresh. Oh, draft starts. Now, this is the tough thing on desktop. Finding when you're in, I'm probably in about 70 slows, 70, 80 slows right now. Finding the one that's about to start. That is not easy. Let's see. I have the 10th pick, so I need to go 10 picks away because it on, and this is one thing I would love Underdog to fix on desktop. They have it on the app where any fast drafts you're in, or fast drafts you're in, go up before, are in your queue before anything else. But these aren't the same for whatever reason. But I found it, plenty of time. 10th spot again. Let's see, we got Fancy Dog back in here. Op Luke, not sure if he's in the chat, but he's back in this draft. FK Coolers back in with us, and it's like Hartman and DeBills. I know DeBill's name, not familiar who that is, but yes, Hartman, the rookie Raiders got Malott. Yeah, he's moving to a receiver. I wouldn't say true Taysom, but yeah, kind of will be an interesting guy. Oh, Fancy Dog. Sorry, Ben. Tried to give a lot of time. Sorry you didn't make it in. We will definitely be doing a lot more of these drafts, a lot more of these streams. Won't be like an everyday thing. Some weeks might do just 2 or 3, outside of like Sibling Showdown and my one, then one with Andrew. Like, for instance, this week I'm not going to be on the entry Wednesday night because I'm doing Jeopardy. But some weeks it might be 5 or 6. We'll just see what the week is, what's going on, when I can fit them in, and also what contests Underdog has out. So 10th spot here. I'll go Bijan or Patrick Mahomes. He went Bijan. I will take Patrick Mahomes. 2 down years these last 2 years. I get it. Not that he finished, terrible, but I think there's some reason for hope. Pass attempts are still higher in the league, and his touchdown rate could easily rebound to elite levels. Best weapons he's had, maybe the best O-line he's had in years. I want some Patrick Mahomes. I will take the week 17 stack, Bo Nix, get both of these pieces. Fantasy Dog, it's all good. We're all, you never know. And I think, you try and mix it up maybe if you're not liking your teams. You feel they're just not giving you enough upside, then maybe try and mix it up a little bit. I truly think drafting volume, as much as I'm, running back in the flex and all that, like I still have some zero RB teams in regular, like they're maybe different than some other people's zero RB teams, but times where I'm not drafting my first running back to the 6th or 7th round. Are they more rare? Usually, am I hitting it first in the 5th round? Sure. But, I think mixing, when you're drafting a volume, I absolutely believe in mixing it up first and foremost. We've seen just BBM alone. We've seen different builds, different concepts win. We've seen week 17 correlation not be a factor at all like last year. We've seen stacking not being a big factor like 2 years ago when the winner had 3 different quarterbacks, and we've seen 2 quarterbacks win. We've seen 3 quarterbacks win. We've seen it all. Hyper fragile, zero RB, etc. 2 years ago, guy had 3 quarterbacks. Jordan Love was double stacked, Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. And Jaden Reed was the week 17 winner. But his other 2 quarterbacks were Tua with Mostert was the only stack. So literally the back that caught the ball the least. And then CJ Stroud unstacked. And he made it to the finals and won. Yes, Love was stacked, but his only bringback was an Alexander Madison who did absolutely nothing. So even that showed bringbacks aren't as, necessary. So my point is there's just different ways to win, different ways to compete, different ways to win. Mix it up, do your thing, have fun, take shots, take your stands, and, it also depends on what you're looking for. Like sometimes the highest upside teams are, teams that struggle to advance more, or sometimes teams that are great at advancing just don't have enough juice in the end. That's the balance we always need to work on. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. Goff. Goff is a nice pick in this format. The Detroit offense is, finished top 5 in both categories. Yards and touchdowns or scoring each of the last 3 years. They do have a new offensive coordinator. They do have a new center. Pretty much everyone else on that offense is back. And they promoted from within, from the OC. I'm going to take Bucky here. Mix it up. I don't mind Stroud, don't mind Penix, Jonathan Taylor, but I kind of know I'm probably going to take a quarterback here at 39, and one's going to come back to me. Even if it's not those two, it'll be Bryce Young, it'll be Stroud. I will feel good about my third quarterback. Hartman takes JT. That was the true decision I was having between Irvin and JT. I'm going to take Bryce Young. I'm definitely more bullish on Bryce Young than a lot of people are this year. I did like what I see when he came back from injury. Did like what I see especially when Thielen came back from his injury, or not Bryce Young's injury, Bryce Young's benching and then Thielen's injury. They had some good games down the stretch, and Bryce Young has some low-key rushing upside. 6 touchdowns last year, despite missing all those games. 300-plus yards, again, missing all those games. So, and Patrick Mahomes, it was Jewish McCaffrey asked a question on Twitter today. Does Mahomes still have quarterback 1 upside? I know some people vote no. To me, the answer is yes. This is a guy who, again, they pass at one of the higher rates. The touchdowns need to get up there, but he's averaged 46 rushing points over the last 5 years, and has had a minimum of 38, I believe. So, he's not going to give you 0 in rushing. He's going to give you a decent floor in rushing. It's the passing that needs to bounce back. But he had 27 touchdowns last year, 29 the year before, whatever it was. The yards need to go up a little bit, but these are the best weapons he's had. Even if yes, Kelsey is not what Kelsey was 2 years ago, but he's not nothing. He's still better than many tight ends in this league. And no grays there as well. So from a tight end standpoint, they have that under, I think above average. In receiver standpoint, if Rice is healthy and not suspended, as it looks to be the case, Worthy growing, Hollywood healthy, that's a pretty good 1, 2, 3. Juju and Royals as backups, not bad, but definitely the best it's been in forever. One thing I do think is missing is a back out of the backfield. Some of Mahomes' best years were when McKinnon was a real threat out of the backfield. We'll see if Rashard Smith can be that. So I think that would help as well. You can draft teams for week 17. You can draft teams that advance in pod. I draft teams go through playoffs and finals. Amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. No, I think there's different ways to look at it. I'm definitely one. I just think the playoffs pod luck is real. Even in the smaller pods, the 1 of 5s, 1 of 6, 2 of 10s, 2 of 12s, pod luck's real. And I'd have to look up the exact numbers, but between all my teams, I'd like 150, and this is pre-draft, SuperFlex, and regular, like 150 some playoff teams. And 13 were underdog finals, 3 were DK finals of my 16 finals. But I got killed in week 15, like a lot of people did. And week 16, I definitely advanced a pretty high clip, at least on underdog. DraftKings was a little rougher. But yeah, I think I want as many bullets in the playoffs as possible and hope my guys just have those 2 or 3 games that really go off. Let's see. Don't love this area at running back. Take Hampton some. I wish there was more of a clear stack, but I'll take T. Higgins here. One of the best receivers. Yeah, I'll take him. Yes, he's a number 2, but I think he's very, very good. I don't know if I want Tyreek. I'm definitely lower on him just in this format. I'd rather some safety. I'll take Devontae Adams. Haven't taken him tonight. So Higgins, Adams, Bucky, running back, 3 starting quarterbacks. Feeling good. Not my favorite. It's just a little too early for me to pull the trigger on Kittle. Thought about pulling up a running back here. Absolutely love these 3 as options, but wanted to do something a little different. Well, no, on DK, I definitely drafted different. And that was actually one of the things that hurt me, was I didn't have a ton of Derrick Henry because he was not, he's not the ideal, he goes in the first round of DK drafts now. He was not the ideal PPR back, but I was a little bit more in on definitely like, the satellite backs like the Jalen Warrens and those types of things on that format. And my advance rate on DK was very strong, 30-some% as well. But week 15, week 16 were brutal on DK. I didn't analyze all the teams. And the problem with DK is they get rid of them. I do love that about underdog. I still go back and look at teams as I did for my SuperFlex article, looking at those teams. So that's really nice. But I also didn't ignore a running back on DK. I'm not one of those who, take 5 receivers and a quarterback in the first 6 rounds or whatever. I still want running backs. I mean, and whether it's last year or even other years. I mean, you look at full point PPR, still every year there's good running backs. Yes, more receivers than take the lead over running backs. No question about it. But I still think you don't want to concede positions too much. But yeah, in DK, you should be expecting more your wide receiver hitting the flex. There I absolutely look at it differently, where, you know, the flex position is much more of a wide receiver position for me. And same on drafters. Obviously, full point PPR. Let's see here. Coming up in 5 and 3, 1, 2. Definitely love the receiver start. These running backs do, you know, been in this spot before. We'll see if, you know, any of these guys get through. Definitely not my favorite type of situation. Cortland Sutton is a stack, but there's other Denver options. And in general, stacking is not as important to me. I'm actually going to pull up Daniel Jones here. I like my quarterbacks, but I don't mind taking another starter here. It's a way to help win the room. It's another sharp room. If I miss out on all these running backs, I miss out on all these running backs. I don't mind some other guys here as well. And, you know, this definitely is probably going to be at least a 7 running back build with 4 quarterbacks and 2 receivers so early. All right. Hartman. Look, Hartman takes 2 running backs I love, but I get it. I'm fine going Caleb here for my RB2. Like I said, probably going 7 running backs. Hartman pounding the running back room, but I love it. You know, 2 vets, 2 rookies, Marvin Harrison, 3 quarterbacks. Good start for Hartman. Again, no shock there. Yeah, no. DK, you know, what I will say about DK is they do offer more total specials, not just their max drafting. Like, there've been basically every weekend there's like a, not a happy hour special, I can't remember what they call it, a limited time special. You know, it's like today was, and you could do try it twice in like a 3-4 hour window, draft a team, get 2,000 crowns. So it's, you know, little money back. And then there've been some free teams I've gotten. One was like draft 2 teams, get a free entry. I think another one was when you draft 3, get a free entry. So at least they have more bonuses. Underdog has started to do that this year, the last couple of weeks. Honestly surprised there wasn't one this week. Last couple of weeks was the sprint and the marathon. Sprint was slightly better because both were 7 teams, marathon was slightly better because both were 7 teams and get 25 back. Obviously, there's less investment for the marathon over the sprint, but both were good things. I know not everyone likes those formats. I enjoy those formats, so, and I think there's some value and edge in those formats, and that's something we talk about on Fanspeak. But I get it's not for everyone. I was honestly surprised I didn't do one this week. I thought it maybe be weekly winners or eliminator, do the same type of thing, draft 7 or maybe even more, since those are $10 drafts, to get 25 back. Or maybe like 10 combined eliminator weekly winner would have been interesting. DK mobile app is bad. Yes, that is very true. I know I thought there was a way to get exposures on mobile. Maybe not. It's been a while since I've tried. Yeah, just in general, I wish they'd just take the time. I don't think it would take much investment on them to build out their best ball system better. They're doing it more for more sports and more times. Like they did early this year. I don't think they did early last year. I could be wrong. Then that became a fiasco because it wasn't going to fill, and they basically, you know, flooded the room with free tickets for people, but people who'd been maxing already weren't getting much. So just kind of annoying. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Dirty P. Like it's disappointing how little time they put into the actual product of it. Like I think they do a better job with the promos. I think they do, you know, nothing wrong with their 20-round point system, you know, and their point system being just the way we all draft on DK. But yeah, I tend to agree. Let's see here. Coming up into 4-2-2. Definitely not my regular build, but Jordan Mason did come back. I will snap call that. Definitely could take another Viking here and like Addison or Hawk, like Olave. I mean, I know I have Mahomes, but I just don't feel the need for Kelsey. I don't love his ADP in this. Like he's very close to Hawkinson, who I just think is clearly better. And I think Ingram would be a bit of a reach up for Ingram. So we'll see what happens here. See what Hartman does. I don't think he's going running back, so guessing receiver. Jayden Reed. I, on the other hand, will reach up for running back. Guys, Scadaboo's there. Honestly, it's just for this reason I'm reaching is he's kind of the last guy that I feel has a real starting chance, or kind of like the, compared it to the Najee Warren situation between Scadaboo and Tracy. And look, every year you want a Najee, and especially in this format where he's actually going lower than Tracy versus say BBM where he goes higher. I would take that, and I just know don't think he was coming back to me. And just the next group of running backs is not, they're okay guys. These are like clear backups pretty much. The receivers here, if I need to go there, are starters. Tight ends, they're all starters. And, if I can gain a shot at, even if it's not Mark Andrews, like Tyler Warren and Jonnu, those are starters. So, yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. Not that I expect Kelsey to be back, but if he were, then that's where I'd feel comfortable taking him. Thank you, Fantasy Dog. Let me take a quick look at your team. I know you're coming up on the clock soon. Definitely really like your start. Allen Goff, Amon-Ra, Geno, then hitting running backs with 3 really good starters. Sutton, Myers. Oh, yeah, nothing. That team, I think, is cooking. Coming back, taking Andrews. Yeah, good first tight end for sure. And Andrews is absolutely hitting Shakir. Yep. With you, Allen, right? Yep. Yeah. So, no, I like that a lot. And Andrews is a tight end. I'm actually fine stopping it too. Whether you hit a third or not, go for it. But yeah, that's what as I mentioned before, 2 tight ends in this format I think is totally fine, particularly if you want to catch up at another position. It's also like 2 starters. If you're getting like, and like a good starters, like a Mason Taylor. Like I love Mason Taylor, but I can't count on him the same that I can like Pat Freiermuth or Gesicki or Ertz. Same with like Juwan Johnson or Theo Johnson. I think these are starters. Feel pretty confident in that, but definitely not counting on them in the same realm. So able to get Russ and Dart in my draft, 3rd, 4th quarterback. Yeah. No, Meg and I talked about this. I know she did that in draft the other day. I've done that before. You're just getting that room, and you're taking 2 mid-round picks to do it, but it feels good. Okay, Ingram comes back to us. Absolutely love that. Could have gone Downs for a stack also. I don't mind getting my 3rd tight end here, especially when my first 2 receivers are Higgins and Adams. And, Downs or Pittman or Warren, all of them would be a stack. Probably will lean the receiver side of it, especially Downs with the fall. And I'm a big fan of Downs. Like, I know it's not always out there in 2 wide receiver sets. It's a crowded room, but I do think DJ, Daniel Jones, is a much better fit for him. And I just think he's good. I mean, reality, Hayden Winks posted a graph, third year wide receivers. I think looking at receivers drafted 2 years ago, what they've done the first 2 years, basically Downs and Zay Flowers were the exact same. And Downs has dealt with more injuries, but I can't remember the exact metric. I think it was fantasy points above replacement. So it accounted for injuries or per game. I'd have to look it up. But the reality is, and I've said this for other comments about Zay Flowers, who I really like as a player, but his quarterback situation is not getting any better. It's just not. Lamar has played at MVP level the last 2 years, so it can be extremely good, but it's not like, I don't think Lamar's a safe bet to throw 40 touchdowns again. He can easily be quarterback 1, but I just don't know if he's going to be throwing 40 touchdowns. And it's just a crowded room, with then adding Hopkins and maybe even, Walker getting better in year 2 to go along with Bateman and the 2 tight ends. Of course, Henry getting his. But Downs, Downs is going to have the opposite. He's going to have the best quarterback he's had, unless you think Gardner Minshew is better than Daniel Jones, which maybe there's an argument for, but probably not. And I just think they really like him and trust him, and he's shown a lot. So the discount that you get on Downs, I'm going to take every time. Yeah, this would never happen in this room. Probably not. That's a safe bet. So coming up in 8 picks, I appreciate everyone joining me for this, longer stream. We're done 2.5 hours. This is our 3rd draft. Definitely having a lot of fun. Some of these might only be 1 draft. Some, particularly if we're trying to fill something that doesn't fill right away. Some of these will be 2. Some will mix it up and do maybe different formats, like, SuperFlex, a regular, and marathon or whatever, or sprint. So it will just vary time for time. But definitely wanted to start with SuperFlex. Something I do think I have, some data to suggest that I have, whether you want to call it an advantage or an edge, whatever. But I feel like I'm drafting generally the right way. And I enjoy sharing it. So thank you everyone for joining me in this, and hope everyone's enjoying it as well. And honestly, with 1 pick away, I have no clue where I'm going to go with this. I do not like Mims at this ADP. Taken Eckler a couple times. Let me mix it up with Algier. I did not get Bijan Robinson, so let me take his backup. Give him some time to think on the next one. Again, probably only going 6 receivers with this build. Maybe tack on Hollywood. Yeah, probably will tack on Hollywood if he gets back to me, just for the stack. Yeah, got my stack. Not that it was a top priority, but I will take it. Vance Doug, yeah, taking away too many Buffalo players. I get it. Bills are a team. We know they're going to score a ton of points, have a lot of yards, but it's going to be kind of spread out. When you have Allen, though, I don't mind taking multiple shots at it, because it could be, Shakir 4 or 5 weeks, Palmer, I haven't looked at all your team, but whatever the case may be, each getting enough points to get you through. And in this kind of format, honestly, stacking up a team's receivers, and not sure if you're talking about some of their tight ends and running backs as well, but it can actually be a great way to say, like, I'm only needing to start 2 receivers. Let's say you take Shakir, Palmer and Elijah Moore, we'll just say. Most weeks you should have a usable Bills receiver. So that checks off one of your 2 receiver starts. Maybe not every week. And, there are some other rooms where it's probably a little better and easier to do, but that's just a way to look at it. Like most weeks, and there might be an odd week or 2 where they're both usable. But, only need to start 2 receivers if you're checking off a Bills starting receiver. Like what I'm saying is I think a Bills starting receiver is going to be fairly fantasy relevant most weeks, not every week, but most weeks. And you should have a good chunk of those. Crossface, sounds like you're having a good night. Glad you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream, enjoying your drafts. But yeah, honestly, like if I had done that, or just double tapped like Downs and if Pittman came back to me, then basically every week I'm feeling like a Colts receiver is usable. Just an interesting way to look at it, think on it. And it's a little different than when you're, in regular and you start at least 3. And like I said, it's more like 3.25 wide receivers every week. Here, I look at it more, it's like probably still like 2.25, but it's just we're so much deeper at wide receiver. So I know I'm getting a cold starter every week to go. Had I done that instead of Hollywood and to pair with Adams and Higgins, I honestly feel kind of set at receiver. I know it sounds kind of crazy, and I would tack on 1 or 2 more, but just a way to look at it. I am on the clock. I should pay more attention. And I'm going to go with my guy, Mike Gesicki. Just love the upside of the offense. Can't quit it. Definitely multiple receiver options I could take here. But I will go Thielen, have the stack. And as mentioned before, just a big fan of where you're getting that value. So let me recap team. We are 4-5-5-2. Mahomes, Knicks, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones. Very likely 4 starters. Bucky, Irving, Caleb, Johnson, Jordan Mason, Cam Scatterbu, Tyler Algier. Not the strongest running back room, but I don't think weak by any stretch. T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, Josh Downs, Hollywood Brown, Adam Thielen. Need a little bit more, 1, maybe 2 more there. Ingram, Gesicki could stop at 2, probably will go 3. Definitely debating if this will be a 4-6-7-3. Likely that's where it'll go. Don't think I need to tack on a 5th quarterback. Always an option, but definitely not what a priority, I should say. I think I can get by with 6 running backs, but I do want to just kind of see what the board gives us. So again, thank you all for joining me, liking us, hitting subscribe. I'm sure most of you are already subscribed. And if you want more insight and depth details, check out our Fanspeak Best Ball subscription. It's for a full year, so it goes through, and we're going to do stuff during the season as well. But goes through, next year, big board season. You'll have it right up until June 22nd next year. Hartman, how are you doing Downs versus Pittman in drafts? I give the edge to Downs. Like, I don't want to, I'm drafting both. I do give the edge to Downs, but I'm very happy if I get one of those 2. Not just in these type with the Daniel Jones stack, or to backstack Daniel Jones, take Daniel Jones later in like a regular draft. But yeah, I think the Colts passing offense is going to be a lot better, much more similar to 2 years ago, and probably even better than that. with Daniel Jones over a lot of Anthony Richardson, and Flacco had some issues as well. But yeah, there are a lot of mouths to feed there with Tyler Warren now. Of course, Pierce and Adonai Mitchell. The way I'm looking at it is I will probably have the most. Well, Pierce is also much cheaper and just has that spike week upside. So I might end up the most Pierce, but I want a decent chunk of all three of those guys, sprinkle a little Mitchell, and of course have Warren as well. Let's take a tight end here. Juwan Johnson, just feel a little stronger here. And we'll be back on the clock shortly. Noel's still there. That is interesting. Slayton is my guy, though. I think that's who I'm going to go with if he's there. Hartman takes Slayton, which I can't fault him for. I'll take Noel. I know he's been falling lately. I think I will go 6-7, 4, 6, 7, 3. So I'll do one more running back, one more receiver. But I feel good enough with this running back room. I feel good enough, definitely good enough with these receivers, to be honest. But I should probably say I'll be on the fence whether I'm definitely taking one more running back. We'll see if it's 2. We'll see if it's another receiver. I just know there's going to be more receiver depth there. I feel smarter after I watch your streams. Thank you very much. Fancy Dog, you're way too hard on yourself. But sorry, Hartman. No, it's all good. I kind of would have taken, I'm fine with either one. Slayton's just safer for me. Slayton, what it would have been is Slayton, I almost for sure would have stopped at 6 receivers because I know he's a starter. And yeah, Dirty Pete, I totally agree with this. I do not understand why Juwan Johnson goes so late. When you talked about Taysom Hill before, not that he was really taking true tight end snaps, kind of, but not really. But he was just such a big piece of the offense, and he's gone. What I've said before, this is for Kamara. This is for whoever you think the Saints' backup running back is. The Saints' number 2 running back and the true vulture to Kamara last year was Taysom Hill. He's gone. So I think it boosts Kamara. I think it boosts whoever their number 2 back is. And I think it just boosts their offense output in general, other players in general. And then Moreau is also coming off an injury. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the start of the season. So Juwan Johnson, they gave him good money, clear path to being the guy. So we'll see. Here's somewhere where we'll tack on Adonai Mitchell. It's part of a stack. There's some upside. He was a second rounder for a reason. I know he got open a lot. That's what the metrics show. So did Alec Pierce. I mean, these guys were just open all the time. That's one of the reasons I'm such a big fan of, drafting some of these Colts is they just need, even if you guarantee me below average quarterback play, their offensive system is really strong. These are talented weapons. They're all second-round picks. Josh Downs was a third-round pick. Second-round running back in Taylor, first-round tight end in Warren. There's a lot of money and capital in Taylor and Pittman, and money and draft capital in all these guys. They're just too talented. And yes, their offensive line lost 2 starters, but I just still think it's good overall. They drafted a lot of 3rd, 4th, 5th round guys in recent years, so I think they can manage it. Let's see, I'm debating Mitchell or another running back. I'm going to go Mitchell here. I know I don't have enough of him, and I probably should make more of a bet on it. So I'll let this draft finish up. We will go over the teams in the draft a little bit more time, and then we will wrap up in a little bit. WP, I agree. Absolutely. Fancy Dog. We're all on the same page there. So let's see. A few more picks to go. Fantasy Dog, the last one in this draft. Okay, just took Komet, which, you know, in 20th round, as a third tack on tight end. Definitely not a real issue there. I absolutely could see him getting some usage, particularly early on. I think later I would worry that Loveland gets healthy, he takes over. But, you know, Komet in Eliminator, I think, is very interesting. And, you know, is like a free square in the 18th round. And, you know, other, you know, format like this with 20 rounds, I don't mind it either. So after this completes, we'll go to the final one. If there's any other questions? Yeah, no, exactly. And I didn't even notice you had the stack. Yeah, no, I think you, regardless, probably have some usable weeks, and definitely you have a stack. Nice, Fantasy Dog. Always good. All right, it did not automatically. It's one of those things, as soon as you think it's going to automatically complete for you, the times it does, it does. It doesn't, and the times you don't want it to, it does. So that is my 100th completed Puppy Superflex. Like I said, I have a bunch going, about 28, I think, to go. A bunch going slow as well. So we will go to the draft. We'll go over my team first. Mahomes, Knicks, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, 4 starting quarterbacks, all different bye weeks. You know, when you're taking for it, I don't think worrying about them all having different bye weeks matters that much, but it's nice to know that I'll always have 3 guys to cover both the quarterback and the Superflex. Running back: Bucky, Caleb, Mason, Scadaboo, Algier, Rashard Smith. You know, Mason's not really a starter, but I think from a fantasy points perspective, he can actually outscore. There's paths for him to outscore Aaron Jones. Just from running pure on touchdowns. Excuse me. But yeah, big fan of Bucky and the Bucks. Caleb Johnson, I think, is just a great fit for the Arthur Smith offense. Mason, I think he's going to be a touchdown vulture, and I think he can get more than enough fantasy points. And same with Cam Scadaboo. Algier and Smith as backups. Could have gone with the 7th guy there, especially with this top of the wide receiver start. Higgins, Adams, most weeks they should be able to handle it. But then I have Josh Downs. Then I got Hollywood Brown with stacks. And I'm dealing with the stack also. No, just feels like a good value pick. I mean, he was 3rd round pick, but he's got a lot of upside, a lot of potential. And then Donnie Mitchell, kind of the same sort of thing. Crowded room, but a lot of upside, a lot of potential. Spike week ability. Then tight ends: Ingram, Gesicki, Juwan Johnson. 3 starters, 3 different buys. You know, only 1 stack, but you know, 2 of them should be really good offenses in Denver and Cincinnati. Next team, we'll just go in order. Fantasy Dog, 4592. Allen, Goff, Gino, Milrow. Do 3 week 8 buys, but you know, 1 week isn't hurting you that much. I know you're big on Milrow, so you know, take your guys. Love the running back room, so I get why you stopped at 5. Week 8 in general is going to be tough for you with Connor and Mostert as well, and Amon-Ra and Jacoby. So I would caution that, you know, from your build out, like you're not going to score a ton of points week 8, just especially as we go down the list here. Is that a killer? No, not necessarily, but it can be a little tougher to overcome. You're really going to need like Ray Davis to step up that week. You're really going to need, you know, Sutton and the Bills receivers to step up that week, because you don't, you know, have a lot. And this might be a case where Jatavian Sanders is absolutely in your flex because you just need as many viable bodies as possible. So that'd be the one thing I'd say just watch going forward. when you're like, one of the cautions with stacking is when you have multiple quarterbacks with the same bind, then you're stacking them with multiple pieces, then you can be very thin that week, and just always something you want to watch out for. Again, not going to absolutely sink your team because it's a very strong team overall, but you're going to need to win to get through in this pod. You're going to need to win those other 13 weeks, like really dominate those weeks. And of course, week 7 is going to hit a little hard with all those Bills and Allen missing, and Andrews. But overall, again, you're fine. It's a good team. A lot of upside receivers here. Spike week guys. Did you necessarily need to go 9 with Amon-Ra Sutton, Jacoby, Shakir? Like I said, you're always going to have a Bill. When you have those 3 Bills, like, I think you're always going to have a Bill receiver. And then, you got these guys as well. So I get that these are part of some stacks and stuff like that with like Horton and Thornton, but Tesla's a fun rookie, but maybe tacking on like another running back would have helped. Another quarterback with a different buy, just even a backup piece could pay off. Just something to keep in mind. Again, not saying it's a hard fast rule or anything like that. FK Coolers, because I do think that's a good team overall. FK Coolers, Caleb, Tua, Darnold, tacking on Gabriel. 3 starters and a shot at the dartboard of the Browns quarterback room. Always fun. I mean, getting Gibbs in a chain, Swift, Naj, Garendo, Dowdle, all good backups there to go with starters. JSN, DJ Moore, Waddle, Cup, Leggett, Pat Bryant, MVS. You definitely know I'm a fan of MVS, especially in a Darnold stack. Jonnu, Goddard, Komet. Yeah, Komet, I totally get what you're saying. Tacking him on is a free 20th rounder. With Caleb, no question, it can make sense. Then we go to Hartman, Baker, Murray, Penix, 3 early, stop there, totally get it. JT, Hampton, Judkins, Monty, 4 really good running backs, Warren, Tootin, Hunter. Just keep it going. Keep on rolling. Going to be really strong running back in flex. Marv, kind of your anchor receiver. Then Reed, Mooney, Burden, Michael Wilson, another Arizona shot. Slayton, Ray, and Wicks. And then Loveland and Strange. So, tight end. I'm fine. I'm honestly kind of always fine stopping at 2. There's a bit more risk with guys like Loveland and Strange who have not done it yet in the NFL, but I'm stopping at 2 with those kind of guys sometimes as well. So not questioned by any means. So let me catch up on the chats. Solid volume, Knowles price and SuperFlex is I totally agree, Hartman. I don't know why. I know it started higher. I think that might be it. Since it started higher in BB, in regular, it just has been slow to go down, kind of like Jalen McMillan. But I don't know why he's essentially free. I didn't even notice that. Excited to get my players. I'm depressed now. Thanks, I guess. No, again, not really shading it, just saying like something to keep an eye out on. You can still win in advance that way. It's just that's going to be a rough week. So you just need your guys to dominate the other weeks. Need to be funny to be in chat rooms. I can score like 12 points week 8. But at least the good news is you just need Josh Allen to have one of those hero games. Where if he goes off and brings like 2 of his receivers with him, you could be totally fine. Thank you, Hartman. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you for joining us in the streams, liking us, everything. Appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be doing more of these. Not sure if I'll do one tomorrow or not. Need to figure that out. But keep an eye out. If so, it'll probably be earlier because I know we have, I believe Andrew and Justin show tomorrow night. Then I believe Fred and Tyler are doing DK on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm facing off with Justin Herzik in Ball Jeopardy. And then I think Andrew's got a show that night as well. I will not be joining that night because I would be doing Ball Jeopardy. And then, of course, Sibling Showdown Thursday, Friends Ball Friday. I will be mixing in some shows this week. Again, keep an eye out. Follow me on Twitter at Steveospeak. Follow at Fanspeak on Twitter. Megs08 on Twitter. We'll be letting you know when our other shows are. But yeah, should be a good week. A lot of fun. Thanks again for bearing with my tech issues and all that. Crossface, yeah, Nico has that hammy has been an issue, no question. Thank you, Fantasy Dog. Appreciate you as well. I watch Jeopardy. It triggers my anxiety issues. Sorry about that, but I'm glad you enjoy the other shows. Great stuff as always. Thank you, FK. Appreciate it. And yeah, and for everyone, Fantasy Dog, and I think you all know that I'm not critiquing to trash the team or anything like that. It's just I want to look at teams from different perspectives, and hopefully that helps your process. If you're totally disagree with me, go for it. Disagree with me. Not no harm, no foul is the way I look at it. And yeah, I appreciate having good dialogue in these things. I will be looking. I will get guests on in some of these streams as well. Some will be doing solo. So really appreciate everyone again for joining. Thank you, Crossface. Appreciate you in here as well. Hope you enjoy your other drafts, getting some EV outside of the sharp room. So I am going to end it here, but thank you guys again, and hope everyone has a good, fun night. I figured, Fancy Dog, I totally appreciate you, appreciate everyone. And I knew everyone here. I've interacted, I think, enough knowing that I'm not like trying to trash anyone. I just think there's different ways to play it. And again, just trying to give insight, and appreciate everyone for being so fun and supportive, asking a lot of great questions, doing great drafts. And yeah, I will see you next time. Have a good one.